Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados, live right here on Think Critical YouTube. Your geeky delight on Saturday is back once again. We will have Aaron Sparrow. He's going to be a little bit late today, but we have a fantastic panel. We've got interesting things to talk about today, and perhaps the most interesting thing, we do have H.H. German of Sigma Comics fame. The man behind Here Comes Calico is finally with us live and in person, not out on the Comic-Con scene this week, and finally get to have you in here. How you doing, H.H.?
Doing great, Wes. Doing great, aficionados. Thank you for having me. Hello, comic book and manga fans. Really happy to be here with part of this wonderful cast.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Did you guys decided to keep it low? Was it a Sigma family Thanksgiving? Was it a German family Thanksgiving?
It was a German family thing. We're here in Florida, and good food. My mom's an amazing cook, so got to spend some great time with my brothers, my mother, and family. So really happy to share the wonderful food with all the friends and guests.
German food, like schnitzel.
Absolutely.
And spazo and knockwurst.
So your family up and left New York for Florida?
They did. This happened a few years ago, not too long ago. I think it was 2016. And, always New Yorkers. I was born in the Bronx, raised there. And, Dad got a little sick and the warmer weather agreed with him. So, my background is Dominican, so the warm weather, the nice subtropic climate down here is wonderful for the family. So it's a good move.
and the Dominicans tolerate the Cubans better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm still in New York though.
So are you guys like in Miami, or are you up in like the Redneck Riviera?
No, we're closer to Miami. We're near Fort Lauderdale. We're in the Fort Lauderdale area. So I get to get some nice beach in. So there you go. That's where I was going. The good food. We got some good food down here, and you keep it warm. And the truth is, there's a lot of people who from New York who came down here. So you still have a New York influence down here. So it's really great,
Very nice. I love Pensacola area. If I were to move back to America, that would be one of the places I would consider, because you can go to a Red Lobster in flip-flops, and that just appeals to me.
That's where Roy Jones Jr. is from, one of the best light heavyweights in the world in history.
Probably
from Red Lobster?
Light heavyweight. No,
Yes,
he's from Pensacola.
That'd be
I was down there for training at a naval air station.
Oh, wow.
For some specialized training, and there was a Roy Jones Jr. fight. I can't remember who it was, but every bar had that thing going, and everybody was out and drinking. It was a lot of fun.
The huge star there. He's the Pacquiao of Pensacola.
Absolutely. And Pensacola is a good place. I like. I think we went to like a piano bar? You ever go to a piano bar, HH? You seem like you would be good on there.
Yep, absolutely. Little speakeasy, a little piano on the side there. Very noir.
Throw a little tenor his way. He plays your song. You sing it in front of everybody. Make a fool of yourself.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it. We have quite a few of those downtown in Manhattan. Absolutely. A nice rainy night, you can't beat a piano speakeasy.
Now, people will know you from Here Comes Calico, but we've talked about your fighting accolades. You started out as a boxer, but you were also an MMA pioneer. Yeah, we got the photo of you with like Vitor Belfort, but you've trained and fought a bunch of dudes that ended up being the UFC, and you got the old school UFC logo on your chest.
There you go, baby. UFC. Yeah, I was part of the first part of the second wave of UFC. We actually came from a different promotion called the EFC, the Battlecade Extreme Fighting, and from there came people like Maurice Smith, Kevin Jackson, Vitor Belfort, quite a few fighters, myself, of course. I never won a championship. Those guys all did. They were all UFC champions. I was what you call a contender, and I was a very young fighter at the same time. In fact, I was the same age as Vitor Belfort.
You were better than Brandel already, because he could have been a contender. You are.
I'm a contender. I always correct people when they call me champ. In the neighborhood, they see me around, hey, champ, how's it go? They remember my fighting. And I always correct them, hey, listen, I'm not a champ. I don't like taking that name because I never accomplished it. And the truth is, just a quick little side story. 5 years ago, I was actually training for, it was one of my regrets, was never winning a championship. So I put myself back into the association, and I had a few Masters championship fights lined up, and all of them were obviously canceled due to COVID. So that's what I was doing actually 5 years ago, believe it or not. And I was in great shape too. I would have made my weight. I was my weight without dieting. It's the first time ever in my life that I ever made weight without dieting. So I was going to really kill these guys. So
very nice. So now that you're an older gentleman, you know, more distinguished, you're a master. Do you prefer to watch MMA or do you prefer to watch the sweet science of boxing?
Oh, Wes, you got the hard questions. You know, I was always a technical fighter, and I really, really love both. If I had to pick one on the spot, I mean, I would say boxing just because that is my base foundational martial art. But I love MMA as well, and I really love the technical aspects of the MMA. So I really love them both. But if I had to choose, definitely boxing.
So I love boxing as well. People don't know this, but I'm actually a big fan. But I did become more of an MMA fan over time because the bouts are a little bit more exciting. There's more ways to win rather than just boxing. You can kickbox, you can grapple, you can use submission wrestling type stuff. You can absolutely breakdance if you wanted to mesmerize your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Wes, just a very quick one. The other thing about the MMA, there's so many things you could do style-wise in those fights that really increase the entertainment value of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this during the cast about how important entertainment is. But, you know, we only had a handful of truly entertaining boxers. And I remember one that was using the drunkard boxing style. And, man, let me tell you, when they whip out the drunkard style in a boxing match, it is absolutely amazing to watch, let me tell you.
Yeah, my last favorite, like, super entertaining boxer that I really liked was probably Cotto.
Oh, yeah.
He was absolutely fantastic because he never stopped going. A lot of people say Floyd, but I don't find him entertaining at all. In fact, I think Oscar De La Hoya beat him. He was the only one throwing punches the entire fucking fight.
Right. If that fight
was dodging. Ugh.
If the De La Hoya if the De La Hoya Mayweather fight would have been an amateur fight, De La Hoya would have won by a landslide because they take away points for doing exactly what Mayweather was doing, which really just running around and defending himself. So yeah, he would have won that fight.
There we go. But it's good to have you on. What's going on with Here Comes Calico? There's currently a Kickstarter. Mr. Mike Barron might be involved in this. What's the details?
Absolutely, it's a wonderful thing. And guys, get over there right now to Kickstarter. The link is somewhere on there. Kickstarter. It's Here Comes Calico. Absolutely, video description. Here Comes Calico is on Kickstarter right now. It's technically issues 9 and 10 of Here Comes Calico. It's basically what we're calling the prologue for the next big book. Okay, it's the first 2 issues of the book, which is issues 9 and 10. And the first story is written by the main man himself, Mike Barron, my mentor. So I would say if you like the Punisher from the late 80s, early 90s, Batman, Daredevil, any vigilante street level hero, anti-hero, I should say, you're really going to love the Calico. And one important thing, Wes, you know, the previous books were all rated M for mature. These books are going to be rated T for teen. So they will be a bigger, wider audience. So I really think you guys are going to appreciate it when it comes out.
So you've scaled back the violence a little bit?
Just a little, just a touch. And you know, it is by design because the story is going to go there because it really is a hero's journey.
So what you're saying, there's no red band edition for me?
Oh, well, there's going to be enough red.
Stop. We all need to tell Sully, knock it off, and, you know, slap his hand when he goes and reaches for that stupid interior variance.
Intervention. So HH, would you say that to Mike Barron is the like Freddie Roach of Here Comes Calico, like the mentor behind it all?
I never heard it said better. He really is. He really is the Freddie Roach. I mean, for those of you who don't know who Freddie Roach is, he's one of the best legendary boxing trainers in history. I mean, I have him up there with Customato, and he, of course, is the legendary trainer of Manny Pacquiao, Freddie Roach. Absolutely. Mike Barron and I are in regular conversation, and he's just, you know, I always tell him, listen, don't pull punches. I'm a gritty New Yorker from the Bronx. I want to hear it from you the way I need to hear it from you. You know, don't sugarcoat anything. And frankly, I think if we had a little more of this in Big Two Comics, we'd have better storytelling going on. right? So you really have to, number one, you have to entertain, you have to show, don't tell, and you have to be original. Those are the 3 Mike Barron rules, and I absolutely live by them in comics. The number one job is to entertain. And if I'm not entertaining, I'm not doing my job. So.
Absolutely. And if you don't know who Freddie Roach is, I know we just brought him up. Go read up on him. He's a world-class boxing trainer, but he also has Parkinson's. And it's a really interesting story. If you haven't checked that out.
Absolutely.
We've also gotten the Sultan of Soup here with his new digs once again on the phone. How you doing, son?
Howdy. I'm doing well, Wes. Thank you for having me on again. Good to see everyone on the panel, and good to see you. Well, I can't see anyone in the chat today because I'm a boomer, and I'm totally going to boomer this if I keep on touching buttons. So,
Yeah,
like, for everyone in the chat, hi, everyone. I'm usually knee-deep in the hoopla, but not today.
Well, very nice. Do you have your Here Comes Calico, or is it boxed up for the move?
It's boxed up for the move, but I've got all my floppies, and I got 2 of the manga editions. And I really, hats off to HH. I've been telling like other crowdfunding comics, I'm like, this is nice, but now I ask, where's your manga version? And they're like, huh? I'm like, you got a manga version? You got a Spanish, language version? Come on, man, pick it up, man.
Time to get with the time. So you prefer the Tonkabon size over the traditional floppy?
I like, well, because like
you can put it underneath your hat. You put the hat on. You got the book with you at all times.
Aaron's not here. I can take my hat off so you won't get us confused. But they just throw them in your bag. I commute on the subway, and so tankabons are very convenient. That Japanese style thing, just like grab and go and read. You don't have to worry about ripping your cover or getting the tape from your skin and your bagging board like ruined on the train. No,
Very nice. And how's the move coming? Is it going smoothly?
It's going smoothly. Thanks for asking. I got my Fortress of Solitude kind of set up for how it's going to go. Now I got to bring over all the man cave porn stuff, all the sculptures and action figures and spaceships and things and the lights.
You just meant porn.
Yeah, that too. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's going nicely. I'll be settled in by the new year. I'll say that much.
Very nice. Were you able to make it to a comic shop? Did you have to find a new comic shop now that you moved?
This is funny. My grandparents moved here. This is Quincy, Massachusetts. It's the next city over south from Boston. And my grandparents moved here about close to 40 years ago. So when I would come and visit on weekends, the first thing I found in the Quincy Center, downtown Quincy, was New England Comics. And they are also the publishers of The Tick. And you've heard of The Tick. So they had one of the first big indie successes. They used to have about maybe 12 different stores in Massachusetts and in New England, and they've reduced down to 3 now with the hard economic times. But my new comic book shop is literally my old comic book shop. I was like, are you a part of the VIP club? And I was like, try my old address, in South Boston. And they're like, yeah, you're still in here. I'm like, dude, that's from 1986. Yeah.
They probably had it in a ledger and they put it in the computer. This guy's gonna come back. I can feel it.
Dude, yeah. I mean, so it's nice to
we
be back.
Always come back.
And it's still nice to support a local comic book shop because that's what I'm all about. I go to my local comic book shop every week and I pick up new funny books. And they also have a really nice Silver Age room and a Bronze Age room. And I got $100 gift certificate from my parents, my stepdad rather. And I'm like, you know what? It's $85 for that Uncanny X-Men right there. You might have a home for that, something like that.
Very nice. You got $15 left over. That's 3 X-Men comic books.
$15 books.
Oh yeah. You can get some Gail Simone Uncanny X-Men.
Oh my!
You can get a copy of Exceptional.
That Uncanny X-Men this week was just terrible. And I try to like good stuff. I try to like bad stuff too. I got no taste. But I couldn't even like this one. This was terrible. Oh my gosh!
I never even made it to that one.
Oh, really?
It's a flagship book, so I'll have to get back to it. But it's one of the ones that I missed. I don't feel like I missed anything.
You didn't. You just missed it. No. You missed terrible. That's it.
Very nice. Is there anything going on the YouTube channel people need to go back? Because there is a link in the video description if they're
Thank
interested.
you. You know, I'll be doing more when I get settled in. I'm gonna actually throw a lot more effort into the show, because right now it's a little bit of a weird time for me. And we're gonna have more cooking videos. We're gonna have more spirituality videos. I do a lot with gratitude lists, and how to, self-improvement, and lots of comic book and sci-fi stuff too. I'm a huge sci-fi fan.
Well, very nice.
Indeed. And
moving from the very, very optimistic and upbeat Sully to the beaten down by life Jim. How you doing, Chip?
Oh, lovely. Just
Did
lovely.
you almost die this week? I don't recall anything happening.
No, just by sadness of being ditched on
A
Thanksgiving.
bout of insomnia might have got you.
Yeah, well, I didn't go to bed last night, so I'm pretty tired. But yeah, no near-death experiences. Nothing really that exciting this week. So, almost went Black Friday shopping with my one son, but he ditched. So he wanted to get a laptop, but we didn't go. So nothing real exciting.
I was also looking at laptops, but then I realized I would have to pay import fees, and I was like, never mind. Amazon ain't it, I guess.
I tried to convince him to get a desktop, but he didn't want to listen. So.
What you should do is you can just get a tablet and you can get a keyboard that plugs into it. It's basically
very true. That's what I use mostly as my tablet, but he for some reason wants a laptop. And the reason why he asked me to go is because I was going to have to pay for it. But I sent him a couple options even online, and he didn't respond. So oh well, he just did his own thing.
Well, very nice.
Yeah.
How's everything coming with the Dirty Song biz?
It's okay. It's getting there. Nah, yeah, kind of. A lot of holiday songs, so those are hitting okay.
You're in the holiday season.
Yeah,
Did Santa Claus do anything nasty?
He did. Usually, it's people doing nasty things to Santa Claus,
Oh.
But I think he liked it. Or doing stuff with Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus walks in. That's a big theme as well. So we have them all, really.
Well, it's a diverse array of listeners.
Exactly.
You got to have something for everybody.
Exactly.
How's the comic channel coming? You got more videos coming up?
Yeah, I put a couple videos up this week. Not as many as last week. I did say that when the new year hits, my resolution is to have a video a day, and I already said that isn't going to happen. But I like saying things, right? I like saying it. It just won't. But,
a video a day just trashing Suscape?
Probably. Yeah. There actually was, and I know that me and you, when we do our Patreon show on your Patreon, we talk about Suscape's reviews. There was actually a user review that mentioned Gabe this week for Justice League. And Justice League Unlimited. And so we got involved with that guy. Me and Gabe both got involved. Because I said, they said that they had finally gotten to Gabe. Gabe was positive. And I put on the review then that Gabe's no longer reviewing the book, that I will be because he sucks. So that's what we told the people. So yeah, it was funny. They called Gabe a deviant, which I 100% agree with. So I had no problem with that.
They didn't call him Sus Gabe?
No. They said that. I don't know who it is or whatnot.
The deviant Gabe Hernandez.
Yep.
Weird.
Deviant Gabe. Yeah, they claimed that they got to him. So I told them that's it then. He's no longer reviewing it. I haven't even read the book yet. So I got to read it today.
I haven't read it either.
Yeah.
Very good.
Gabe.
How was Thanksgiving, Jim? Did you end up going to the Golden Corral?
No, I did not.
Oh.
Nobody wanted to go.
What a wasted opportunity.
I did. Wasted day. I just
You
sat
could have been
there.
dipping roast beef in the chocolate fountain.
Yeah, just like my son 3 years ago. We almost got kicked out. And then I tried to explain as a father would. That's a dick move. That's what I told him. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I like it. So I made him eat it. And he did.
I thought you were saying that you were explaining to the staff, like, listen, he's special.
I'm like, no.
He doesn't
like,
know what he's
no,
doing.
he isn't.
I'll
He's
give
not
it back
special.
to his.
No, they were pretty pissed, but everybody was looking at him. It was jammed. It's like Golden Corral is not good, and but it was jammed. So I don't know. I would have went this year. I said at that point it was kind of a joke. This year it was like desperation, trying to get them to go with me, but no,
I would have
no
gone
sort
with you,
deal. Yeah, I mean, you would have been there. We would have been very polite. Very
Absolutely.
nice.
I would have had an old school paper like I'm an old man, you know, because
I would have, yeah, exactly. Get
Derby
the reading
hat?
glasses on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why do I?
What
why
you're
do I
doing
just
is explaining
picture?
Sully.
Why do I picture Jim at the Golden Corral saying, "Listen, out of all the things he could have put in the chocolate wonderfall, you should be happy it's just
Yeah.
roast beef."
Yes, yes. And like he's done worse.
I had to talk him down from body parts. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
This was our compromise.
Yeah. Yeah. Chocolate
Very
fountain.
nice. But you did get your beef pot pie, at least.
I actually have the remainder of it right here. I don't want to be like Fatal J, but I've been eating. I actually mute the mic though while I'm eating, unlike Fatal J, who, pretty much goes to town on a foot long and eats a sandwich.
Jim, does he got a full crust?
Jim, he's trying to insinuate that you would make a beef pot pie without a top of the crust. And
Screw that.
Sometimes they cheat you on the bottom part of the crust. They just throw a piece of puff pastry on a casserole dish. And I'm like, come on.
I hate those open face ones where they claim that's a pot pie. That is not. It's a Chicago deep dish pizza, but it's with beef and carrots and things like that.
That's beef stew in an edible bowl.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
No.
Yeah, I don't like
Get out of here with that crap.
Yeah, really.
Very nice. But I'm glad that you didn't almost die this week, Jim.
Nope.
How's the uvula doing? Did the swelling go down?
Yes, that did. It's
good.
Went down a bit,
I've
so I don't have to
gone?
mind about my uvula. Though I'm telling you, I actually did think the shingles might be coming back, but I got to check that out. So maybe I do have problems. But yeah. But hey, that's
Next
life.
up, we do have Mr. Aaron Sparrow. A little late to the party, but we're gonna have a good time. How's Kneel Before Doomface coming?
It's coming along well. How are you doing this morning, Ground Bear?
I'm doing great.
You're not
Going
doing
on,
great.
Aaron?
Hey, what's up, HH? Glad to have you with us.
Absolutely.
I didn't read that book. That's from Uncanny X-Men, right?
Yeah. It's.
I didn't read it yet.
Yeah, Gail Simone's trying to create cute nicknames and so. Yeah, so Rogue calls Wolverine Ground Bear, and he calls her Moonbeam.
Oh,
And it's like,
Moonbeam.
And then everyone else calls her Ms. LeBeau, and I'm like, it's Mrs. LeBeau. She's a married woman, you feminist.
now everybody else just throws up. It's awful. Like, first of all, Ground Bear, as opposed to Sea Bear and Air Bear and God
And
knows
Care
what
Bear.
else. I hate this book so much. But no,
If I'm getting a nickname, it's the D-Man. It's not Brown Bear.
No, you don't get to
Something
create
like
your
that.
own. You don't get to create your own nickname. We all saw that Seinfeld T-bone.
Bottom Bear.
You don't get to do it.
Not Bottom Bear, no.
No, that's not it.
The D-Man.
Rub a dub dub.
The D-Man is also gay.
By the way, what a great progressive move on Marvel's part, taking a character named D-Man and going, oh, he should be gay.
That's progress.
And
Good-
he
good
should
job.
live in the sewers.
Yeah, he should be a homeless bum.
And have
Live in a van down by the river.
It's pitied by the rest of the superhero community.
No, Neil
So how
Before
many
Doomface
days-
is doing well.
We got
I
3
have not
days?
checked it yet. Yeah, 3 days to go. It's going to end Monday night. So if you guys are so inclined to help us hit those stretch goals, please jump in on the campaign. If you're like, yeah, I got like one cover, I got the cheapest cover. Maybe pick another cover. There's still time. Because if we get to 22,000 before the end of the campaign, everybody's book size basically gets another 24-page chapter. So it's cheaper for me per unit if you don't. But if you want to, really get more bang for your buck, which is what we're trying to offer with this campaign, we did varying price points and we did various levels of buy-in so that, depending on your budget, you wouldn't have to miss the book. But we didn't do the traditional thing where it's like every book is $30 and, it's like, which is, pretty typical in crowdfunding. And we didn't want to do that. So accordingly, we've sold a decent amount of units, but we haven't hit all of our stretch goals. So if you guys are so inclined, you got a little bit of Black Friday money that you didn't spend on at Best Buy or on Amazon, come on over and see us at Kneel Before.
You know what's interesting? You just said "Bang for Your Buck." That happens to be a song title from Jim, featuring Prancer and Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
It doesn't say buck.
Well, Prancer's a buck. He's a male reindeer,
Exactly.
right?
That is
Yeah.
true. I don't know. I'd be done then, but
What,
might
more
be
bang
fun.
for your buck? And
There-
then you got
there-
like,
there was a song, I forget which one I did, but the legitimately the reindeer are in the closet, like peeking out and watching. So that might be a good title for that.
very
Jim, have you
nice.
never done a story about somebody doing something horrid with the Chocolate Wonderfall at Golden Corral? Because I think we're giving you lots of fodder here. On the
Say
show.
that, and I put my dick in the chocolate waterfall would have been a great Thanksgiving song, but that is timely all year round. So I might have to do that. That would be pretty good.
It feels like a Valentine's song, if it's anything. A light, nice,
Really?
heavy hair
I was
band,
thinking
like
Labor
rock
Day.
ballad? Oh,
Yes, a
Labor
rock
Day
ballad.
probably works there, too.
I usually go right now. I am really into like 70s female country. That is very easy because it lends to storytelling, but also old school like 40s big band stuff is fun. But rock, that's good too.
So you do your you're gonna do some Dolly Parton.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep. Dolly Parton. He put his dick in the chocolate fountain. Everybody
All
does.
right.
Even he put his dick in my chocolate fountain might even be better. That'd be very confusing to people, and they'd have to keep listening. How does this work out?
I put my
I'm writing it down right now.
All right.
By the end of the
It's-
show.
I feel
It's
bad
code,
for
baby.
HH. He's like, I'm a professional. What are these guys doing?
We have traveled down a dark path, HH. I
Yes,
apologize.
Yes, as I've said before, it's very depressing because the songs do so much better for me than the comics. So it just gets me all upset.
Dylan,
Well, that's
explain
what
to
you
Jim
gotta know.
about being polite to our guests
Yes,
when they're
where is
no
Dylan?
Dylan to explain to Jim. Damn it.
I like
This
Dylan's
is a
getting
bit
a mean streak lately. I think we're bringing it out of him. It's great.
He's tired of Jim's crap. But everybody gets there eventually, right?
I'm a
Usually
terrible
sooner.
influence on the youth of tomorrow.
It is, yes.
So anything else we need to talk about, Sparrow? You got any big final days before the campaign ends push that you're going to be doing on any channels or something?
Not that I'm aware of at this point. I think we're just going to go out with a whimper.
You're just walking out the door? It's like, whatever.
I guess. I mean, I don't have anything lined up. Like,
It was
nobody's,
real.
But no, I'm happy with where the campaign is. Obviously, I'd like to give people more pages. Like I said, I think that the ending of the first chapter is good. I think that the cliffhanger at the end of the second chapter is great. So, worst case scenario, we don't get the additional 24 pages in this edition, and that just becomes the next issue. So, maybe the next issue has a little bit of a quicker turnaround, but I'd rather give people more.
Very nice. We've also got Doc, the co-host of the Aficionados, been here from day one. And this week, Doc almost died. And I do believe if Jim and Doc had traded places, Jim would have died. Doc was going down and driving on a very dangerous road with a snowstorm. And he turned around, realizing it was dangerous. I think if Jim's in the car, he's like, screw it. We're making it to New York. It's happening.
Damn right.
Yeah, the
Pushing
girlfriend and I were like, let's go up. It's Friday. It's Black Friday. We're gonna go visit the reservation and see what deals can be had on Black Friday on the Indian reservation. I needed my cigarette. She needed something else. And we hit 90 like right at the intersection of I-79 and I-90, right up near Erie. And we were partway up and I started getting notices. I didn't bother to check the fucking weather or anything. I'm like, nah, I'm just driving. And started driving up. And as we're getting closer and closer to 90, I start getting these notices about, well, there's unplowed roads on 90. We're going to change your, it's like almost a 200-mile drive. And as we were getting about 100 miles in, and it should have been, we're about 120 miles in, suddenly I had another 140 miles ahead of me. And I'm like, it just keeps adding detours and detours, and the roads keep getting shittier. We hit this one section. It was so fucking bad that I'm like, you know what? Nope. I'm just tapping out. We're driving back. And so we drove back, and then we kept checking the Twitter sphere, and she was checking TikTok, and Erie ended up with 3 feet of snow. So yeah, we would have been snowed in somewhere in Western New York right now if I would have been as stubborn as I might have been in my younger years, where I would have said, I'm not letting this fucking weather beat me, because that's what men do. We don't let the weather beat us. But
What's the noise?
I have no idea.
I think it's HH. Is that you, HH?
What's that?
Are you the one getting yelled at?
Are we doing what?
Are you the one getting yelled at?
I'm not. Oh, you hear the stuff in the background?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Big
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Let me fix
It's all
that.
good.
But yeah, so
Good
So,
thing he's
like
wearing pants.
look like a giant pussy, I turned around and decided to head home. But yeah, we would probably be snowed in with everybody else on the side of I-90 right now if we would have kept going.
Very nice. Jim, Unplowed Roads. Next big hit from Sus Records.
But there, I do have a song that's "Give Me 9 to 12 Inches." That's about snowfall,
Ooh.
and at the one line it says that coming, I need to be plowed. So it already is there.
You
But
already
that
made
is
the song.
I smell a B-side.
I've already got that. Yes, a D side is what they call it.
Oh yeah.
Very nice. Let's hear for the peoples. First up, we do have Lade Kramer. Calico takes aim at CA this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what's this? Which campaign number is this? Have you done? I think is it 7 campaigns so far?
I actually don't know which number it is, but
A lot.
it's more than 10. But it's going to be
over
for
10.
issues 9. Yeah, this will be for issues 9 and 10. It's called the prologue.
And you
for book
fulfilled
2.
every single one of them on time.
Absolutely. We don't make a lot of income on the crowdfunders because we're still relatively new, but our thing is the conventions. That's really where we do super well. But we use it as a great marketing tool, and we welcome all of you to go on the Kickstarter and help us out and get to the goal. We're almost there.
Absolutely. If you're not near a local comic convention, which HH will certainly be at within the next 12 months, you can go to the Kickstarter and get your copy there. Otherwise, you're going to have to get some plane tickets.
Yep, prologue
We'll
for
see.
book 2 on Kickstarter.
Dylan Lindsay, hello all. Wes, could you make how could you besmirch Predator 2 while making a video about Spider-Man being a whore? Jim explained to Wes why Predator 2 is amazing.
Predator
explain this
2,
to me, Jim.
one of the best things about Predator 2 is just one of the best taglines of all time. That it is he's in town with a few days to kill. Also, the idea is this time it's a different jungle because it's a concrete jungle because he's
Urban
in LA. I think that Predator 2 is one of those movies that
I thought Predator 2 was in Miami.
Oh, it's in
Thought it was
LA.
No, it's in a futuristic 1997 Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yes, Los Angeles. Yes,
Which
yes.
is kind of oddly like, Demolition Man, Pitch Perfect too.
It's like this time,
2024,
Los Angeles,
Los Angeles.
1997. I actually, it's one of those movies like, when you have that second movie that comes out and people don't like it at the time and then people do start liking it. Or like, Bill and Ted, that sort of thing. It's tough, but I think it's funny. I actually watched movies back then, though. Again, I did like Predator stuff more than Alien stuff, which kind of gets me yelled at. But yeah. But
I like the moment in
Aliens,
Predator 2 where the Predator basically does a spit take.
Yeah.
He goes, what? As he's about to get his arm cut off. I remember as a kid, I was super insulted that Danny Glover killed a Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Didn't come back.
Struggled with it, whereas Danny Glover, I was like, no way, no.
Though I
Not
do
buying
want to
it.
say, Dylan Lindsay, I mean, Dylan, explain it to Wes why he should like Predator 2 is the tagline that we should go with.
All right, Sparrow, what's better, Predator 2 or Gremlins 2?
Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 is more fun.
Oh, by a large margin.
Predator 2, like I still like every time, like every now and then I'll see like Robert Davi tweeting, and every time I see a tweet for him, I just hear "Get back to your cage at Alvarado" from Predator 2. So like I don't know why, but that line just stuck with me.
Lade says, so Jim, Wes, how are you guys feeling on 8 Deaths of Spider-Man? You'll try to convince us, hey, it's good. It's got Black Cat in it. Jim review was A on it.
That was Fonzie. A, I said.
Hey.
A. It's a D. A.
Oh.
I'll say if you were interested in it, and you'll as give me some crap at one point, but I would just wait for the trade. It seems like it's a interlude type deal, a little thing here that you get it in the trade if you want to, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it much at all, except in an idea that you can kind of laugh at it at points. I mean, I don't know. It's so over the top with the jokes and things like that, and end of the world magic stuff doesn't really work with Spider-Man either, but yet he's joking it up, can't take anything seriously, and it just seems weird. It doesn't even seem connected to the Zebwell stuff, which that might be a good thing, but it feels weird overall. And his Black Cat was not great either. She just comes in and gets told there's dating apps and then leaves.
Yeah. Sully, did you like it? Here's the big test. Did you like this week's ASM?
It's mediocre. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And the art's good. The art's pretty good.
Sully's 6 out of 10 is a negative 40 for people. I mean, seriously.
2.5.
Guy likes jazz.
6 to 11 teen. No, really.
6 out of 10. Needed a red band version.
Needed a red band version of this. So you could really get into that.
He just wanted you want the red band version. No, you want the max version. That gives you a little respect material.
He also needed a code at the end to get the cliffhanger. He wanted it all, yeah.
That goes to the Axel Braun page.
Yep.
Eddie Brock, 9043. Gail Simone gave Logan PTSD and Uncanny X-Men.
Tell me
something
true? I don't know.
Is that true?
That's
Sparrow?
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Why does he have PTSD?
Because it's topical. From
everyone.
I don't know what. Everyone has to have it. Haven't you been on social media? Everybody's got self-diagnosed PTSD, and self-diagnosed autism.
Oh my God.
Because he's a toxic male and he needs therapy.
Right.
It's typical fat lady speak.
All the times he got hit in the head.
Jesus. I want to thank Doc. I blame Doc fully because this week somebody got a hold of me and said, oh my God, and it's somebody that me and Wes talked to, said, I just looked and Gail Simone had blocked him. I'm like, that's weird. Like and he was upset about it. He actually was like, why would this happen? I never did anything. And Gail Simone follows me and I've talked to her at points. So I went to talk to her. She blocked me too. I'm like, what happened?
Well, maybe they
blame
should be
Doc
upset with you, Jim.
I gotta check that out.
Blame me. I'm fine with it.
I blame Doc and actually don't blame Doc. I thank Block.
My ass.
Okay, guys. So HH, this is a true story. When I was stationed in England, there's this kind of bossy senior airman that not many people liked, but her husband played on the softball team. And when she was at softball practice one day, one of the guys grabbed a softball and threw it right at her face, but there was a chain link fence in front of it. Apparently there was a hole in the chain link fence. The softball went right through it and hit her right in the head. She got diagnosed with PTSD. And I thought, this is the biggest joke of a thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not blocked by Gail Simone, but she did stop following me.
It's not me.
Yeah, people digest trauma differently. I can tell you though, a character that has a history like Wolverine, anyone writing PTSD into his story in any comic book is just committing malpractice.
And by the way, just so we're all clear, Gail Simone digests trauma through her third stomach.
Wow. Chew on that.
She blocked me again.
So listen, because of Doc.
Just quickly, I think it's good to to leverage the medium of comics to introduce aspects of society. But how are you going to do that on a character like Wolverine, who's been through? The guy's tougher than steel. The
guy's been literally ripped apart at the atomic level and put back together.
Right. That was no good. No good.
So, chat, should I pre-block Gail Simone? Should I block her before she gets a chance to block me?
block her back, dude.
I blocked her back.
She hasn't blocked me, but I could block her first.
I mean, Wolverine's the most resilient person in the Marvel universe besides Peter Parker.
His power is literally to heal, including his own traumas. They've already addressed this previously.
His healing factor could take care of that PTSD. Seriously.
It does. That's the thing. They've addressed this in the past. It does address the PTSD. It heals it.
Dion says, Wes, I looked up the pre-New 52 Batman comic book sales on Comic-Con, and they were worse than now. Tom King's last Batman issue, 85, sold 80K units, and Morrison's Batman sold around 65K on average. Tom King's bottomed out right at about 71,000 on issue, I think.
Yeah,
75.
it kept going down. That was why he got kicked off.
It rebounded at the end for City of Bane a little bit.
And because people wanted to see him leave.
Yeah, and people wanted to see how it ended.
Batman was not the bestseller going into New 52. It hit a very poor streak as far as sales. And Scott Snyder really rebounded it in New 52.
It's one of the reasons they had the New 52.
Yeah.
At that point, Green Lantern stuff was what was killing. You had, Brightest Day and Blackest Night, and that's why they kept that continuity, kind of. And then Batman as well for the trades.
But yeah, Batman has gone through some tough spells from time to time, and certainly leading into New 52 was one of those.
And then Dion looking into that. Dion, when you look at that, look at all the other books that came out, and there are some wacky books that they were putting out at that one point, and some of them selling better than Batman, which was ridiculous. But yeah, it was a weird time.
Absolutely. Moon X1 Doc, my Pookie is always right about X-Men Damien.
Yep. Fuck Damien.
So are you Moon X1's Pookie?
I guess.
Is it Doc my Pookie?
Maybe.
Maybe that's your nickname. Are you Pook?
Apparently so.
Lade Kramer, Wes put the smackdown to Doc this week on the Patreon, letting him know how great Green Lantern and Emotional Spectrum is. Doc was wrong. Interestingly enough, Doc, I got multiple people that reached out and was like, yeah, Doc was totally off base on that one. Emotional Spectrum's awesome.
No, it's stupid. Doing the same thing that already exists, but just slapping in different emotions is not original, it's not clever, and it's not needed.
Jim, explain to Doc why the Green Lantern Emotional Spectrum is so amazing.
I might be with Doc there.
Oh, come on. You didn't like Blackest Night.
I did. I get what Doc's saying though, and especially when you get like a Sorrow Lantern, you keep getting other extraneous stuff.
He's talking about the Emotional Spectrum that Jeff Johns did.
I'm just saying in general, like that's the basis of it, but then you could go real off the rails because it's kind of
and it will go all the way off the rails again because that's what comics does.
One of the things that gets me is it's just like the Speed Force that when everybody has to, it's wonky, and it just gets annoying.
I just think it was fun. I had every T-shirt, I had every giveaway ring. I got every issue with the exception of those two Blue Beetle tie-ins. And that I was so happy as a comic book fan. That was like my complete wheelhouse. Brightest Day on that Green Lantern run it was fun. And I think opening up the Spectrum one could say now we make fun of that shit now, but when at first it was okay.
Yeah, my point isn't that doing it at all ever is terrible. It's that it continuing to exist. If you need to use some crazy thing as a plot mechanism to finalize the story, that's fine. But you don't continue it beyond there.
Well,
what you do is when you break the uniqueness of the lantern. Now there's just a million lanterns. And when you add emotional spectrums, emotions are so nuanced, you are going to have there are more emotions than there are names for colors. Sure. They're going to come out. There will be every fucking... I can't wait for the periwinkle lantern.
It's like going to the...
But Doc is the non-Green Lantern fan. So I think they made the right choice.
I think Jeremy Adams is doing a wonderful job of how to go forward with that emotional spectrum idea. He's been he seeded his Green Lantern run a little wonky, sure, but I mean, I'm interested. Like, why are the lanterns changing?
No, I meant you
color?
are, Sully, with that hat.
Aw, thank you.
Comics Odyssey, HH, who's your favorite MMA fighter and why is it GSP? You're muted. Can I unmute you? I can't unmute you.
There we go. There we go.
There you are.
You're really going to love this one, Comics Odyssey. There's a very good chance that I was going to fight GSP because when our guys moved over to the UFC promotion, GSP was just sort of coming on to his thing, and I was just sort of coming off. And they were looking for people to fight GSP, and he was having a lot of problems trying to find guys because of his what he was doing in the division. And I was still around, and the contract just never got signed. So I could have fought GSP. And let me tell you,
they're going to feed you?
Yeah. Well, hold on a second. Matt Serra, if you remember, you UFC guys out there, he actually touched up GSP, and Matt Serra lives not too far from where I'm from. And one of the very few people to beat GSP was a striker. And that's exactly my specialty. And it's very safe to say that my hands are better than Sarah's because Sarah's a jiu-jitsu fighter. And I'm a boxer. So, and I'm a bit taller than Sarah. I'm 5'10". And let's just say if that fight would have happened, hey, there would have been some sparks there. And there's a chance that your old HH would have had a shot at the title there. So, but it never happened. The fight never got signed.
Very nice. So who is your favorite fighter? Is it
Oh boy, I have to say it's what's his name? The Hawaiian fighter, BJ Penn.
BJ Penn?
In his prime, BJ Penn was absolutely incredible. He was very flexible. He could strike. He could grapple. He had excellent chin. He was just a workhorse, and he never stopped. Just like your Miguel Cotto, the guy never stopped. Wonderful fighter, BJ Penn, in his prime.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, his prime didn't last long enough. But in his prime, he also was fighting heavyweights and stuff. People forget about that.
Yep, absolutely. That's what we had to do back then, Wes.
He fought Lyoto Machida. He was like
and unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Very nice. Budgie, I'm trying to get into comics. Been a long time manga reader. Crowdfunding confuses me. Why am I paying to create the comic? I feel weird that I can't just buy the finished product. Should I reconsider? All right, HH, you're the salesman here. What do you think here?
Well, listen, the reason why manga is so practical in Asia is because it's portable. And I think when you have a situation when you're in a metro, it just absolutely makes sense for manga because you can take it everywhere. Manga gives you also a lot of great pages. I mean, you got your average manga is about 200 pages. So, you try to get into
asking
comic.
why should he support crowdfunding comic books where he's paying you for the ability to create the comic book instead of just waiting and buying it when it's done?
Oh yeah, well, it's you get much more than just a comic. That's why. When you buy a comic, you're going to walk away with stickers, posters, bookmarks, all sorts of different tchotchkes. And that community experience is a wonderful thing, especially when you're getting into a new comic book brand. There's nothing like getting a bunch of things that correlate to what you're interested in. And you're only getting it for the price of a comic. So get in there and support your indie comics because not only are they going to give you great indie comics, these are guys that are working really hard. They don't have the demands that the executive corporate comics have from the big two. And they're giving you a bunch of stuff. To go ahead and do it. It's a great investment.
Can I expand on this a little bit?
Yes,
Wes?
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that you're doing is that you're helping somebody's dream come true. You have a more direct to consumer. It's a more direct to consumer kind of model. So
Absolutely.
You're cutting out a lot of the middlemen. You're actually allowing somebody to make a living in comics, which most people can't do working for the big two. You have to be doing so much stuff to actually get by. And when you're crowdfunding, you're doing everything. You're doing the marketing. You're doing there's usually a team of people in the mainstream that is handling each individual piece. When you're doing your own book, you have to do everything. So what you're doing is you're helping that person make that happen. And making comic books is expensive. And to break into the mainstream, if I put Neil Before Doomface out in the mainstream, I'd have to put it out at $5 and I'd maybe sell 700 copies if I was lucky in the mainstream. You know, retailers would buy in at that. And by the time the distributor took their cut and I paid all the people, I'd actually be in the hole several $1,000s.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you want to kind of break out of the corporate structure where they're just giving you what they think you know, they don't even care. Like, look at Nick Lowe. He doesn't care what you want as a reader. He's going to tell you what you want. When you're helping a small publisher, you have more direct feedback, and we actually care about what you think of the product. So you actually have a larger voice within the the book that you're buying.
Yeah, the corporate hand is stingy. The corporate hand is stingy, and the indie hand is very generous and welcoming, and to support the comics.
Yep. If you are not appreciating maybe some of the stuff that Marvel and DC and even the bigger indie publishers out there are putting out there, and you realize it's not for you, that's where you go out and you find where other comic books are being made. And these things do take money. You know, you do have to pay the artist, you got to pay an inker, you got to pay the colorist, and all these things. And those things do pile up if you don't have the backing of a big publisher. This allows people to go out there and make comic books on their terms rather than on corporate terms. And I think for the most part, it's been very, very successful. There is some weird stuff going on this week, but Aaron and HH stay out of all that weird stuff, right? It's all about the customers. It's not about the infighting.
No one's going to come at HH sideways because he could take
it.
See, there's a hack that none of you guys have figured out yet. What you do is you find an artist, and then you kidnap them and tie them up in the basement, and then force them to get a page a day in order to eat and use the bathroom. See? Now, and you're probably doing them a favor because you're, actually giving them a place to live so they don't have to live in a tent.
All right, Sully, show us the book that you got. Doctor, cut you off there.
I swear to God, if you keep rattling that paper, Sully, I'm coming over there.
It is loud.
What? It is? That wasn't that bad. That wasn't me. This is I backed Jesse Snyder's Fucking for the Future. I guess got this week, and it's a really nice floppy, and
I'm writing that song now.
Fucking for the Future.
Jesse will welcome it.
Yes,
it's like
that'd be
we're
funny.
several hundreds of thousands of years in the future, and a society of women have lost the ability to perpetuate the human race by cloning. So what do they have to do? They're going to have to go and find one of those beastly men to perpetuate the human race. We got to be fucking for our future. And it's satirical, and it's an adult comic book. I love adult comic books, like from Cherry Pop-Tart to Milo Manara. I mean, just there's nothing wrong with adult comics and adult humor and nudity and hijinks. So yeah, like I backed this. I crowdfunded this. I helped make Jesse Snyder's dream come true by backing actually two of his books now. And I really, as a blue collar dude, I enjoy crowdfunding because I feel like I'm a patron to the arts. I love art. I love stories. I love novels, but I love art and especially comic books because that's the union of it all. But you get something out of it, and and sometimes weights are egregious, and sometimes weights are negotiable. But it all depends on. I've never had a book default, so I'm just like I still believe in crowdfunding, and I will continue to. Like I just backed Lepresti. No, it was Art T-Bear. He's doing Black and White 3. And I'm backing that, like Cecil's Cash Grab 2. And so there's always something going on in this scene. Take chances, read new stories.
You're going to get some Aaron Sparrow writing in that Black and White number 3. There,
yes, you are. Black and White number 3, co-written by our very own friend, Aaron Sparrow. Ain't that great?
But you should still crowdfund it.
Yes. Yeah. You're part of the process.
We've also got some big 2 stuff going on. I guess we'll get to the first topic. We've got word out that DC will be rebooting Superman and Batman in 2025. Superman more corresponding with the Superman movie, and then Batman rebooting. It's been out for well over 150 issues, but it'll be in conjunction with the end of Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. Jim, I think this is pretty predictable stuff with Batman. With Superman, I feel like it's a little bit more egregious considering they've rebooted it so many times. They did it with Brian Michael Bendis. Now they did it with Josh Williamson, and now they're going to do it again. What could it actually be, Dan Slott?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be. I still end up telling I said it on the show that I think that the superstar label and that whole thing that they're doing right now with the Action Comics, that is leading them to try to get known names and throw it out there, whether or not they're good or whatever. And obviously Dan Slott wasn't the first one. We've had a bunch of writers, but it could be. It could be. I don't know who else. And they're going to want to do something that has a bit of an oomph, even if it is just people hating on it. If you're going to do that new number one, I don't know. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about it, though. I actually think a lot of books, when you ended up starting out this whole all in, should have had number ones, but not like that. Like some books like a Batman and Robin, I think that it's suffering for Philip Kennedy Johnson to kind of be tagged in with that whole deal that Joshua Williamson didn't really do. He didn't really have much of a story. And then you have Philip Kennedy Johnson come in, and if people aren't going to know, and Philip Kennedy Johnson, while a lot of people love him, is not really that well known a name from people who are just, casual fans that might grab a Batman and Robin number one just because it's a number one. But yeah, it could be Dan Slott. People were yelling at me because I kept saying the idea that I didn't think that he'd be doing more than like 3 issues, but we'll see. I mean, maybe. And the thing though is I don't think DC. I think that what would really stop them is his work habits might end up being more of a problem than, because they're tone deaf of who is popular and what to do anyway. But
well,
I don't know. Could be though.
If it's a writer that had any recent work at Marvel, they consider them already an improvement. Like they don't know how. Well, they don't know how to evaluate. I mean, at all. Marvel's terrible at it too, but DC's somehow even worse. Like, oh, they worked for Marvel, therefore they're good, and we should hire them.
Or they're like, hey, Leah Williams, who do you? Oh, okay, we'll get them, and like, don't ask her. And she actually even said that she actively recruited a bunch of people, and the reason was because she was starting to write Power Girl, and she said, boy, they let you do anything over here. She actually said in an interview, like, this is great. I'm telling all the Marvel people, they don't care here. Like, come and do whatever. And yeah, it's trouble. And again, that's one of the bigger problems. And people have even said about Amazing Spider-Man at Marvel, the reason that it's bad is Nick Lowe. You could get any writer in and it's still going to suck because of what he does. But again, I'll go with Doc. That combination, and when Doc said to me, I always say one of the first things he said to me on the show, I thought I was blowing minds, where I said, they should get better writers. And Doc's like, who? And I'm like, you got me. It took me that little. Like, I'm done here. It did not impress people. I better start talking about how I almost died again, because I was not impressing anybody. But there's not who they're willing to get or who's willing to work with them. There's just not a lot of people left. And I mean, we see it sometimes with these books that maybe Dan Slott is like, I think that he's a better choice than Leah Williams or Teenie Howard or all these other cast stuff. But you would hope that it would be somebody else, maybe a Jeremy Adams. Maybe by that point he does that. But again, we have this thing. This is the problem right now with the big two in my mind. A guy like Jed McKay. People started elevating him too quickly, I think. But then all of a sudden, when you start talking, it's Jeremy Adams right now. I don't think he's elevated too quickly. I think that he did his work, and he was really kind of beaten down by DC a bit. But he can't write every book. That when you end up having, who should write this? Oh, Jeremy Adams. Who should write this? Jeremy Adams. Like, that's because there's no other choices, and we need to find somebody. It's the Brian Michael Bendis effect. Yeah, Bendis was the exact same position not too long ago at Marvel, where it was just, well, who should we get to write this? Bendis. Who should we get to write this? Bendis. Because he was available, he would do it. I was going to say he would never say no. He did it. I don't think he was capable of saying no. On top of the fact that, I mean, whether they were good or not, the man could put out 8 scripts a month. He'd knock out 2-3 scripts a week, and without really breaking a sweat either. Yeah. Now, did some of them end up really suffering? And did it seem like he was spreading, 4 pages worth of story into 22 because he wasn't creative enough to come up with 22 unique stories or 10 unique stories a month? Absolutely. But at the same time, it wasn't that bad, other than just feeling decompressed and like you were getting taken for a ride financially.
but the stories weren't bad. The problem is Jeremy Adams. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's that good. Jed McKay, like, Jesus Christ, not even fucking close.
I think he got out of his league. I think that he was really good with those smaller characters, and they should have kept going with it. And they elevated him because they had nobody else. And Jeremy Adams is really good. I just don't want him to have 800 books. And I like him on the books he's on, and coming up Aquaman and stuff. He's already going to be, spread thin. But from talking to him, he'll do whatever because he's just happy to do it. It's a difference there. So that's why I really do like him. But who else is there? I mean, Philip Kenny Johnson. Again, I said they just end up at DC. They don't treat the people who are doing well that well. And they seem to over-evaluate people that they don't have and that are, like you said, Doc, Marvel writers, and want to just grab them to think that we stuck it to them. And they didn't stick it. Like getting Leah Williams and Teenie Howard on a book stuck it to nobody but us. And it's just maybe what they should do. And without a strong editorial with actual, and we talked about this so many times, without actually writers who know what's going on, you're never going to be able to develop new.
We, if I may, Jim.
I
think we're underestimating the importance of the editor here. One of the best things that you can have in comic books, and you can go to any run. I don't care what run it is, from Batman, Spiderman. You always had a great editor that really had a long-term view of what you were going to do there. I'm not a big fan of rebooting, but if you had somebody like Chuck Dixon, as you bring him in as the editor, senior editor on Batman, okay. And you get a solid writer, doesn't have to be a great writer, solid writer that really is working under the direction of a great visionary like a Chuck Dixon. That's really how you lay the groundwork to wonderful stories that connect and that resonate. And I don't think we're talking enough about the editorial component.
And I think the editorial as it is now, without people being, former writers or having that respect, it'd be like having a football coach that never played football, never coached a team, and expecting their star players to listen. I don't think that now, I don't think the editorial says one thing to Mark Waid, because they're probably afraid to talk to him because he's been an editor. He's a big Dan Slott would be the same. I think that they would be like, oh, Dan Slott knows what he's doing. We'll just try to make him happy and things like that. And then you get delays and things like that. But people were talking about a reboot. I believe that it's pretty much just a new numbering type deal and stuff like that. But that shows that they are kind of desperate for sales. Again, that's one of the things that Marvel does every 2 weeks. I mean, they end up, and it gets annoying. I mean, Moon Knight's one of those that I think it completely lost its momentum and any sort of interest from the mass deal by keep going to these different new number ones. Oh, we'll kill him number one, bring him back number one. And I think that there is a point where that does end up, causing problems. Obviously in DC, you hear reboot DC and people already are turned off because of, the things they do, even though they don't fully reboot all the time that people think, but they soft it's just, they need better editorial is what they need. And they need former writers. They need somebody who, if they say, hey, Batman wouldn't do that, they'd be like, well, that guy knows. Like, oh God, almost like you're trying to impress the editor who's a huge Batman writer. Then that's just going to make Batman better. I bring up Batman, but any book. Chuck Dixon editing Nightwing would be awesome. Stuff like that.
You brought up the sports analogy for football, and I watched the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs play against the Raiders. And one of the things you saw the Chiefs talking back and forth, very good communication. It was a very close game against the Raiders yesterday, the day before. But you saw the communication that was going on in that sideline. And that's exactly what you need in comics. I don't think you have enough communication coming up from editorial into the writing team. And you're seeing it.
I saw a lot of communication between the refs too at the end to fix that game. But that's
a game on part of the Chiefs. What are you talking about?
I was just going to make mention of the fact that there's a reason why Mike Tomlin sucks, because he never played pro. He's a shitty coach that his team doesn't listen to and has never listened to.
Bill Belichick never played pro.
And again, even like an Andy Reid, like he did play. I mean, that if you look up Andy Reid's pass, punt, and kick deal, it's like the funniest video you'll ever see in your life.
He's the size of Aaron Sparrow.
Oh my God, he's humongous. It looks like a parody movie, but he also went through his deal as a quarterback coach, for all these things, and he worked his way up. He didn't just become an editor, boom, become a coach. He did work his way, and it's one of the greatest of all time. The thing is, I wish he still was in Philadelphia, but his time had kind of come to.
Yeah, listen, you don't have to be a pro, you don't have to be a writer coach, but you have to be able to set forth a strong foundation that's long term with good, strong continuity. And look, Bill Parcells, he's another one. You know, you look at him, you just have to know what you're talking about. You have to be no nonsense, and you have to make sure the number one thing: these people who are playing under you, who are writing under you, they have to respect you, and they have to respect the concept that you're working towards.
And when you do this, in my mind, again, we'll just stick with football. It's the idea of, for so long, the Patriots could kind of get everybody's cast off, people who didn't behave or whatever, because they'd always say, well, once they get there, there's Belichick, and then there's Tom Brady, the star who is all in. If you had an editor like a Chuck Dixon, and then a big writer who ended up like going, you know, hey, this guy's the good, it would benefit it greatly. I think that these editors are more of, oh, do you want me to get you a tray? Like, they're just there to kiss ass. And you can tell from the books, they don't care about continuity, because I don't think they know it. I think that it's DC writers and editors. They just go by the last thing that came out, and then the mistakes just keep snowballing, and you could see it.
Where's our supply chain for talent on the editorial, plane there? Like, are they just hiring English majors out of college who've graduated? Like, oh, you went to my college, we drink the same Kool-Aid ideologically, therefore you're a safe hire.
It's crazy. They did get at one point, and Wes had talked about it, the idea of Dan Didio. At the end of his deal, he was grabbing a lot of these multimedia guys. That Jeremy Adams was one, but Megan Fitzmartin was one, Tim Sheridan. So they don't all work out, but they were doing. Now that who's the new young writer at DC? There isn't one. Jeremy Adams, he's not quite young, but he's newer. But they don't seem to be able to get the. But again, who wants to work in these things where it's not your characters? There's a lot of things involved, but I don't think that they make it very. A great thing to work there, it seems. And I don't know if this Superman isn't something so crazy like a Mark Miller or, something like that, then I don't think it's going to cause that many. Dan Slott, if you hear that, a number one will get some people to at least check out something. But Dan Slott he's, unfortunately for him, he's just so hated that people, but then again, they go by the bad, bad news is any news is good news, but it's bad. And I don't know.
Well, he's hated because of his own behavior.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. He's not hated for more. It's more of him being an asshole on social media. They should tell him he should know better. It's just weird.
Somebody whose writing is so mid should have a little bit more humility, and he's got this amazing ego, and this the way that he talks to people is just absolutely unacceptable.
Atrocious.
For any kind of in any other kind of industry, you'd have been fired for talking to customers that way. We know that doesn't happen in the comic book industry.
The weird thing why don't they get that a little humility would make you so likable? You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's they don't get it. I don't get it either, but I'm not a writer. I just fight with people.
I passed on Justice League Unlimited. I love Justice League stories. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, Mark Waid. No, I'll pass on this. I passed on Action Comics, and I'm passing on World's Finest now. And Wade's everywhere.
Well, it's good, Sully, because he said he's not going to be able to write superheroes anymore. He's going to keep doing it.
And he made a public statement like that. I'm his boss. I want to say to him, I need to take you off these things. I can't have you damaging our brand. You know what I mean? With that willful intent. That just,
that would require DC to have a boss. It would require there to be
and also, then what is they go to Mark Waid and say, listen, people hate you. You did this, and he's like, oh, here's Leah Williams' card. Call her and have her do all these books, and it'll be worse. They don't have anybody to replace them.
Well, what you do is you say, you know what, Mark? Instead, we're going to open the blacklist. I'm glad that you feel like you'd rather see the industry burned to the ground, because we're going to bring in all these right-wing people that have been banned. The ones who don't put politics in their book, but you just don't like them because of the way that they vote. That's who we're going to bring in. We're going to actually open up.
That's a sane idea. That really is. Who's going to make some money for us? Who's going to tell compelling stories? Get asses in the seats.
So, Sully, these are the two names that I'm hearing for a new Batman writer, and these are not from my more high up sources, but this is somebody that has a couple of people inside DC, and the two names that they've heard are Dan Waters and Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Oh,
Philip Kennedy Johnson would be.
He's doing good on Batman and Robin.
I would actually put him on. He seems more of a Detective Comics guy in my mind, like more of a lore and a deep dive. The thing is, I've heard one name, Dan Waters. That's who I heard.
That too?
And
What has Dan Waters? What has Dan Waters knocked out of the park that means he should be given Batman?
In Little League, I heard he had 3 home runs.
He got an extra. He got an extra base hit on Destro, in my humble opinion. I like that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't quite
He's
skippable.
kind of the Azrael miniseries he did was okay. It fell apart by the end. I don't like his Nightwing already, but
he had a Gotham story that was
like
interesting. But
yeah, it was that world of thing with the 10-eyed man. Or
I mean, if you're going to put Zdarsky on Batman, they're going to put Waters on Batman.
Well, if you put Dan Waters on Batman, just get Ram V.
Zdarsky was coming off of a decent run of Daredevil.
Spiderman.
So it seemed like, I mean, people were excited when he jumped over because they were like, oh man, if he brings the same energy and that he's used on Daredevil, this could be pretty good. And it just never really worked out that way.
I think the problem like with Dan Waters is when you think of it in like the best case scenario, you think, well, it could be okay.
It's going to be boring.
It's going to be drawn out. It's going to be a lot like Ram V's Detective, which people started out liking, and then it kind of just got boring. But
be a weird choice.
I don't think that gets people excited. People might say, okay, that's cool or something, but I don't think it gets them excited.
I think Philip Kennedy Johnson Batman would be really interesting because we all know he's going to like get, Bruce down into like, with warlord and like Oscaris, and he'll be in this like loincloth with a bat sword any minute now.
Looking for Orgrim.
The Orgrim. Oh god.
Or Olgrim, I guess that's the worst. Is Werewolf has Olgrim and then Orgrim.
It's gonna go all like sword and sword.
I think people. The biggest thing I think if Philip Kennedy Johnson was on Batman would be pretty cool because a lot of people do like him and that would elevate him. If that didn't elevate him, then nothing would. But again, if you talk to people, I bet you their first deal would be Jeremy Adams because there's not many great writers at DC. And I don't know. I mean, people would lose their mind if it was Mark Waid.
I'm assuming it's going to be Jeremy Adams, or I'm sorry, Jason Aaron, personally.
Yeah.
That's a good way to ruin Batman.
And what is that? Years from now, maybe
Batman's
Offworld will come out by then.
He's going to finish.
Batman's been continually ruined as we've been going. So I mean,
we got one issue.
just run it all into the ground, man. Run it all into the ground. Batman's going to be public domain in a few years.
Here's the
Johnny
problem.
Cates.
So, Batman is kind of the Wolverine of DC Comics in style, appeal, whatever. He can't turn it into Dad Man like he did because he's already Dad Man. And I think that's going to be the thing that turns Jason Aaron off. He can't fundamentally break. Well, no, you know what? Did the last issue with that stupid alien Batman outer space story come out yet? Okay, so we haven't found out that the Waynes were actually killed by an alien yet. Because that's there you go. He needs to fundamentally alter anything he touches. So can he do it to Batman? Does he?
But the other thing is he's also the Spiderman of DC because he's the biggest breadwinner, right?
Oh yeah.
And what you have to do is this: if that's your biggest title, you really need to go beyond just having a good player. Look, Barry Sanders was a great player, wonderful player, always an all-star player. But that he was the only guy in the team that really, did anything. You really have to have a cohesive leadership that has a vision. And that's why you need a more holistic approach to Batman. This is your biggest title. You need to have a really great, strong editorial team with a vision that the creative team respects and is writing towards. to make sure that there's a very good continuity, good story, everything's integrated, and you're going to sell some books long term.
Speaking of, who is the Batman group editor? Is it still Katie Kubrick right now?
No, they named a new guy like 2 months ago. I can't remember who his name is.
Aaron
Jim, you probably
Sparrow.
talked to the guy, right?
I don't know. No comment. Actually,
No, if Aaron,
I forget
Sparrow
about
was announced as a DC editor, there would be a huge outcry because the books would get good.
Yeah, I have a
Rob Levin.
sneaking suspicion that that we're going to get, say, a female writer on Spider-Man, that we might get Justina Ireland on Spider-Man, and that may be the deal with them Batman saying, okay, we'll get one of our female writers on
Gail
it too.
Simone.
But, yeah, or
Tinny.
Leah Williams, Teeny Howard, Kelly Thompson. They're not great, but yeah.
But they have a vagina, so they can write.
Let me tell you something.
the thing about-
one of
the thing about-
the
go
biggest
ahead.
things that DC had was Nightfall. Okay, and Denny O'Neil called that team together, and it was like a summit that they had. They got all those writers together. They said, we're going to start writing this book, this concept, for a few years. Okay, that's how you create a very strong foundation for a book. And you need a Bill Parcells on the stands there. That's what DC needs. They need a really strong editor to tie this all together, and then build from that with really good, strong writers and a good creative team.
Unfortunately, those people don't exist in comics these days.
You know what? They're out there. They just need to get them. Look at Chuck Dixon's just one example. There's a bunch of guys and they really want to work in comics, and they know comics through and through, and they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for that call.
I think it's the same logic of, oh, you really, really, really want Spider-Man? He's your favorite character. You're never writing Spider-Man. I think it's the same logic for anybody that actually wants to be in comics getting hired by the big two at this point. You're not getting hired because you actually want to be there. Unfortunately, I think that's the approach comics is taking. You can't be there because you like it too much, and therefore you're not going to allow us to change it as much as we want to.
I don't know, Jim. What's your best case scenario for the new writers on Superman and Batman? I'm assuming we're getting a new Superman writer, and Josh Williams is moving on.
Yeah, I would think that. I Philip Kennedy Johnson would be cool to go on Superman because of what he did, but again, that seems like something DC wouldn't do, even though they
that was
said
the plan.
at
I
one
was told
point
that was the plan 2 years ago.
I was told that too, but I think that then somebody got to somebody else and said, listen, that seems like it'd be like rehiring a coach again. And in football, they just don't do it, or even keeping, an old coach's staff. They probably thought, well, that makes it look like we were wrong. Like if they put Jeremy Adams back on Flash, people would love it, but it would make them look stupid because they ended up, getting off the hook. Well, they do, but then they just think, well, and I see it every day. I don't know. As you get older, you realize that people forget shit very quickly, and it's amazing how much they forget. But and so they just don't say anything. But I don't know. There's just not a lot of great writers that they are willing to have that are in the stable right now. I mean, it's pretty low. So I don't know. I'm saying I think Mark Waid would be one of the books if they went with, what they have, and I don't think that would be great either. But
just all I'm asking for from DC on this is please let me die without Mark Waid ever getting to write the Superman solo book. Please. That is the one thing that actually I like about the current logic of, this is the thing you've always wanted to do. You're never going to be allowed to do it. I hope it affects Mark Waid the same way it does everyone else. And he
can't write Superman now because he no longer believes in human goodness. Doc.
That is true.
It's true.
Jonathan,
well, that means that he will.
Punk.
That means that they might actually give it to him.
Jed McKay.
You weren't
just
ready
everything
until this
seems to
moment.
go.
You see this tweet? This is the one that put it over the top. You're writing Superman, kid.
That's right. You hate America.
You heard
You are the best person to write Truth, Justice, and the American Way.
You hate mankind. You hate America. Absolutely, get writing on that Superman book, bitch.
Can we stop letting bitter, unhappy people write aspirational superheroes? Can we just stop that?
That's why I don't want to be a writer.
Exactly. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing on Batman. Make it happen.
Yeah,
You know, wait, hold on. By that logic, I should absolutely be writing the X-Men right now.
yes. See, you have Kelly and Lansing on Batman and Lansing and Kelly on Superman. So it works out.
Totally different.
As they like to call themselves, the hive mind, as I've seen their stupid nickname.
And I like to say because they have the brain of an ant between them.
Jim, why haven't you made a Hive Mind song to celebrate?
Screw that. I actually, at one point, I did make superhero, like DC Comics and Marvel songs, and people would give me shit. So I went to dirty songs. Yeah. They gave me shit, so then I started writing about shit. That's what happened.
Yeah. There you go. We should be getting the reboots coming in 2025. Of course, you get the Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, Hush 2 story first. Should sell like gangbusters and do very, very well. Let's hear for the peoples. We've got Optimus Prime, Daniel Warren Johnson for a new Batman run, or is it just me? Timing seems good with his time on Transformers coming to an end at number 24, and he has the world building and respect for the characters.
But he also doesn't believe in human goodness anymore.
That's true.
Also, he has problems with like a deadline, especially if they ended up going like twice a month and things like that. And I'm assuming he also means drawing some of it too, but I don't know.
He doesn't like to do long runs. I'm shocked.
No,
he's
he
writing
doesn't.
20,
Yeah.
Like he was only supposed to do 12, but stayed on for Transformers.
And we talked about this
But he's
a while
fantastic.
back.
He'll do a great
Yeah,
job.
he is. We talked about the idea. I think it was Rick Remender who said that, hey, I was offered Spiderman and Batman and X-Men, but nobody wants to do. You forget that not everybody. Batman isn't like the instant, oh my God, I'll take that job anymore. A lot of these other writers, they don't want to get involved. They don't because it's a mess.
Well, can you
DC
imagine,
offers you the job. Are you taking it instantly, Jim?
Me? Yeah. And then I'm
Ooh.
cashing that check immediately and never writing a word. With you.
Oh, you're doing the Donny
Sit up
Cates.
front.
Exactly. I'm the Donny Cates of the new.
I'm going to need a retainer.
Yes.
So the entire paycheck goes to cocaine?
Well, I'll be a
It's,
little different. 99%.
It's an amazing idea, isn't it, to give somebody with a drug problem a retainer? That's never a good idea.
Yeah. And then as you see it
Hollywood.
like emptying, you don't have any sort of, idea of what's happening.
No, I know people who've run like art companies and things like that, and they said that like what you want to do is you want to dangle the check in front of the artist so that when they run out of money for drugs, they need to produce something. So then they get you a piece, and then you pay them.
There's
And
so
then
many
you don't
old
see them for 6 months. while
Manipulating junkies.
There's so many old school rock bands that they would get that deal. Like, you get $2 million for this album. And yeah, nothing was done. And they are high as shit. And then they had to do stuff on $10. Greatest hits come out then.
Daniel Warren Johnson for Plastic Man. That's my
Butt stuff.
Yeah, what stuff? Okay. We got Christopher Kent right well. His Plastic Man isn't that bad, actually. Kind of interesting. Mr. DC Comics. It seems like the only story DC knows how to tell with Superman is his origin. Gotham City is always a story in Batman. It's always the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. That is basically it. And if you put Jason Aaron on Batman, we're going to get Batman's origin again, but everything is wrong, and he has a secret sister, and all this other crap that you're going to have to deal with.
And the sister's named Allie is what he'll do. And Pearl. Allie Pearl, they'll call it.
Oh, jeez.
His Off-World's really good. Because he found that little tiny bit where it's like, okay, it's not changing anything, but it makes sense. But I don't think he is going to do that again. He'll just destroy things.
Yeah,
But
we're
here's
going to
the-
find out that Thomas Wayne had a pet monkey. And when he died, he went insane and went into the sewers. And now he's an enormous monkey
Gorilla
that's trying
Grodd.
to get back on Batman because he knew that Thomas liked his son more than the monkey.
Exactly.
Too bad
And then
that guy.
Batman says, let's go bananas. And
Exactly.
everybody goes, "Let's
And
go."
that'll be the name of the trade. Let's
Yeah.
go bananas, Batman.
Let's go bananas. Going ape.
Carlitos Figaro, it's a shame not to put Jeremy Adams on Superman since he already have enough on his plate. Well, certainly he's got 2 Green Lantern books, Aquaman book, and Flash Gordon right now. But he would do a good job on Superman, but I think a lot of people would. But
Yeah.
I think anybody that would do a good job on Superman, they probably won't consider.
No.
Unfortunately.
I like
Yeah.
I want to see Jeremy Adams on Firestorm. Give me a Firestorm book.
So you want
Nobody-
I would
Nobody-
love a Firestorm
nobody-
book.
Nobody's gonna buy a Firestorm book.
I'll buy a Firestorm book.
Dude, yeah, two right here, dude.
Tom King first.
2 copies.
Tom King's
no.
Firestorm? No.
He wrote Firestorm for one panel and got it wrong in Heroes in Crisis. When he had Firestorm's yelling, "My head's on fire!" Like it's not really on fire.
When is Tom King ever gotten a character right?
Never?
Kite Man? I don't know. Did he mess him up? Everyone liked that.
Yeah, catch.
Elmer
You
Fudd.
liked Kite Man, Jim?
He did
I
okay
did
with Elmer
not.
Fudd.
I did not like that. He did do well with Elmer Fudd. That actually is one of the few things that I do like with him. That was pretty good.
Swamp Thing Winter Special is pretty good.
No, that's bullshit.
Ah, you were so out of your mind, Jim.
Again, the whole concept of it again is that because it's snowing, Swamp Thing cannot connect to the green while they're walking by evergreen trees, but that's not how it works. He fucked it up, and I will go to my grave, which is probably next week, thinking that
It feels like another one of your Super Sons was never great takes.
And I'm telling you, it's.
I'm on Team Jim with this one. That was a dumb idea.
Yeah. And also that,
the snow's interfering with his eco Wi-Fi.
A basic misunderstanding of plant biology, absolutely 100% within the realm of possibilities
Great.
for
Everybody's a
And-
fucking horticulturist now.
also in that,
mushrooms can't connect to each other when there's snow on the ground. They just
and you spend a lot of that issue at the beginning with that stupid quarterback. That Campbell quarterback from Gotham Knights is, oh man, it's infuriating. It was, again, he finds his one trick pony, but now that was sucked. People elevate that.
The only person I know that's enjoying Tom King's Wonder Woman is Sully. So let's all make fun of him. Good job,
Yeah.
Sully. You liked a book that sucked.
Way to go.
What are you
Loser.
thinking?
Sully, so sus.
Did you like Black
I would
Canary
love
this week, Sully?
HH. I would love
rat-
HH to read
You
that.
rat fink, wicked. You're not wicked pisser, kid.
Did you like Black Canary this week?
I didn't. I skipped it. I didn't read that
Oh.
one.
That's just
You didn't miss anything.
Was it? I didn't. Oh, that's good.
No. Well, I mean, maybe PTSD, which I hear is going around.
Who's drawing it? I saw a
Ryan
really nice.
Suck.
Ryan Sook.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I saw a really nice.
Seems like
Dinah.
a gold.
You know what I mean? And like a really nice butt cheek and fishnets. Like I saw that.
Yeah, I feel sorry for all the artists that have to draw those turds that Tom King turns in.
We
I
could get
just-
Tom King on Superman.
I
People always
just
throw
feel
that up and
bad. I just feel bad that like we haven't had Ryan Sook art on like a monthly book in a while.
Mhm.
Since Brian
you
Michael
put him with
Bendis
fucking
and Legion
Tom-
of Superheroes.
Yeah, Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah. And you waste him on fucking Tom King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's every good art. And one of the things that I would love to hear as they're getting towards this Batman and Superman would be the idea of people pitching ideas, because it doesn't seem like that's a thing anymore, that they hire people, tell them what they're going to write, and then it's up to that person to just do what they do. And again, sometimes you get a Jeremy Adams who that works out for. Sometimes you get a Tim Sheridan where it doesn't work out, or Megan Fitzmartin, or a lot of these other writers.
Jeremy Adams is so good that I am surprised that he's allowed to write at DC. I feel like, I feel like the editors are probably
He's ruining the
interfering with him
curve
as much as possible, but he's still just so good that the book comes out good anyway.
And again, when I was talking, when he got kicked off the Flash, he was not going to be doing the Green Lantern right away. He at that point thought that he was done. He was done and he said to me at one point, I wish that I was able to do something bigger, because he said, I can't even crowdfund because my name isn't out there enough. And then Mariko Tamaki was supposed to be on Green Lantern. That fell apart. And then they just asked him to do it because it was a desperate deal. And I think at first he wasn't going to be a long-term solution either. And he just kept going. He kept writing good stories. And now finally, it seems like they realize, again, too late for Flash fans, but it's still, at least but it takes them, like Aaron's saying, it takes them so long to realize, because really what they want is a name and money, but you have to work your way up to that. You got to let these, writers establish themselves. And they don't. That's why you get a Dan slot thrown in and things like that. That they think
they want a name, but they were going to put Mariko Tamaki on.
I know.
I mean,
again,
that's not a name.
They seem to think it is, and they seem to think
it's a name that makes people leave.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a name in that sense, but like nobody shows up.
It's not a
goes,
superhero comic name.
It's somebody else that pisses off the right people.
Yeah.
If they don't have any sales to go with them, but they've been out there, they've been making the best name that they can pick is just the one that makes people that actually read the comics mad, because apparently that's how we run this industry now.
All right. Well, let's get to another topic. See if we can get one more of these bad boys in before we tip some favorite Mephisto stories. We did get the Jason Aaron first 4 issues of TMNT, 1 issue dedicated to each turtle brother. I believe it started out with Raphael, then it would Michelangelo, Donatello. Leonardo, then Donatello. And we got the 4th issue this week. Jim, did you get a chance to finally read TMNT number 4?
I did. Yeah, I read it last night. It's just depressing. It's and me and you both like the Michelangelo issue because it was fun, and the rest are kind of depressing, and that's not what I want. Especially, you're starting a new run. I've had people tell me that they just like it because the last 100 issues were garbage. But the idea is, I kind of wanted to have fun, and me just kind of peeking in and reading these 4. I think I'm done. I'd probably read it for our show. But why? It's like I see Turtle, like the best Turtles comic is the Saturday morning cartoon, because it's just fun. It's fun, and that's kind of what I want. And this seems just so depressing. It just ends up being just cringy.
Yeah, you end up seeing Donatello, and he's all emaciated because he's been held prisoner and forced to fight people for money. Like he was you can go down and pay to fight gators. You're fighting Donatello, and like he's all emaciated. Then he thinks like this dead rat is Splinter, and he's basically just nuts.
Yeah, he's nuts. And the weird thing is sometimes you'll have these stories where something like this will happen, but you're like, okay, well, they'll say this just feels like it's going to be the tone. It just, to begin with, to have this, it's like he wants it to be grittier, and it just doesn't fit for me. I mean, some people may like it, but it doesn't fit. It just kind of depressed me. I'm already depressed. I don't need that.
Sparrow, you're a big TMNT guy. Are you ready for depressing TMNT ongoing?
No. The Donatello stuff turned me off. I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy Jason Aaron on this book. I've not enjoyed it so far, and I'm not going to continue to read it.
Yeah. So you also found it an enormous turnoff.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of the rat thing. I know it's TMNT, but like after watching Tom King make every female character eat a rat because he's got some weird fetish, like anytime there's a rat in the comic book now, I'm kind of like, oh, I have PTSD.
You're out on Splinter?
No. I mean, I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't, like there was a time when I was like, oh, Jason Aaron's come on in a book. Pretty cool. It's like, I'm one of the people that liked Original Sin. I thought it was an interesting, not the tie-ins, but the main book itself I enjoyed. And just since then, I've not liked anything that he's done. And I think that he comes on and I think that he ruins characters. I'm tired of people coming in and going like, I'm going to deconstruct this character. It's over. It's tired. It's old. I would rather see you build up a character. I would rather see you, expand the lore instead of like tearing it all down and making these characters small. These characters need to be larger than life. We need to have aspirational heroes, but they're written by people who just don't have any faith in humanity anymore because people voted differently than me. This is like the whole industry now. And so it's just a depressing slog. And it feels like movies that, when Star Wars came out in the 70s, part of, it was a technical achievement and it was incredible. But part of the reason that movie did so well was because it was coming off of the Vietnam War and Hollywood just wanting to make depressing films, and the public was tired of it. So when something came out and that was hopeful and heroic and exciting, they responded to it, and they responded huge. And the comic industry is waiting for that.
Yeah, Star Wars, when it came out, legit, it was like when the Beatles came to America and became a deal where it just brightened everything after Kennedy got shot. It was huge. And I think that when you get these writers now, and some of these franchises have been around so long, that they end up where you've gone to the point of, I have to write something different, but different now is opposite of what made it popular. And that doesn't work. You're writing things like, it's okay to kind of go with what made something great and tell your thing through that. But it's like, I got to do my own stamp on this, so it's going to be misery, or I'm going to, Superman this or TMNT. It just, we're at that point where I think people have forgotten how to tell stories, but they also want to do something different. Different means exact opposite. I mean, I saw the one thing where I pretty much lifelong Star Wars fan. And when I saw a thing that they were talking about, the newer movies, the idea that we got people, and even the TV shows, everything I saw was, we got people to write it that don't know Star Wars. What? And like, we're going to be, edgy, and like, but none of them have seen Star Wars. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
This sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, that was what they, yeah. It goes.
We're going to subvert expectations because nobody here knows what they're doing.
It's like that Cleopatra deal when they had that. It's like, I don't care what anything goes. I'm doing my own thing, and it's going to be this. And like, no, that doesn't work. That's weird.
One lady's grandma said we was queens, and now the entire history has to be rewritten.
Yeah.
Art house, it's the difference between art house content versus truly entertaining content. You have a situation where someone gets into a position and they want things to be cool and edgy versus what you really should be doing is creating aspirational content. Comics have always been aspirational. I don't know your intro into comic stories, but mine is very simple. First generation, my third language is English, so it took me a while to learn it. And I learned English reading comics and watching Sesame Street. And, comics for me is like a self-help. For a lot of people, it's the first self-help book that you have. You learn a lot of things through comics, okay? And you really want to, when you pick up any comic book, you want to be inspired to be that character, to be brave and overcome the challenge. And when you have comics that are depressing like this, who aspires to be depressed? Who aspires to be in a wheelchair? Or something imperfect. We want to be great. We want to be better than what we are. And that's just lost. And again, it's art house versus entertainment. So.
And that's what I talking to Ram V at one point, me and him got an argument on Twitter. I even mentioned it in the chat a little earlier when people were like, oh, this story is good. And he said, I don't write stories for people to read or fans. I write them for me. That's what all of us do. We write them just so we enjoy it. We don't care. I'm like, that's not what you're.
That's a loser mentality.
Yeah, that's not the business you're in.
That's also not true.
No,
we don't all do that. Like, I would say that Jeremy Adams is not writing just to please himself. I think he's writing to please the fans.
And yet I think that
I've written to try to please the fans. The job in commercial art is to entertain.
And
if you're not here to entertain the audience, get the hell out. Get the hell out with your big bag of pretentious bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Entertain myself. Get out. Go do your own thing and go. Be poor trying to publish. The shit that interests you. Yeah. You go ahead and you go do that. But stop trying to do it through these characters that and standing on the shoulders of these giants that came before you. Stop trying to do it with those characters. Those characters need to be intact for the next generation.
Right.
I think that there's a point here too, though. But Aaron, you do write it for yourself because you're a comic fan. A lot of these guys aren't even comic fans. So when they say that, they don't even know what they would be able to write for actual fans because they either didn't like people. They seem like they're embarrassed to be writing comics. So they end up having to do fancy stuff so they can go to their dinner parties with their piggies up and like, well, I actually write, graphic stories, not the kind like my stuff is deep and dark, and nobody cares, and it's ruined things.
Stop trying to be Alan Moore. None of you are Alan Moore. Stop it.
That and then Grant Morrison, like everybody wants to be somebody else because they want that respect, but they want it day one. They want it like day -3. Like they want to come in thinking like I'm going to write one panel and people are I'm going to blow their minds. Ram V's like he needs his money for his hair products. That guy's hair is lush,
gorgeous,
and gorgeous. It really is.
It's resplendent like some hirsute Quebecois.
Also, I had never seen Dan Waters. I actually just saw a picture of him. He looks like Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. So I'm like, I kind of like him a little more, but I don't like his writing. But I just like the idea, that's the basic concept of what writers, like I said, I don't think they're comic fans, so they don't know what it is to write for fans. They're there to try to blow your mind and remind you how much smarter they are than you, when that's not the thing. That's not entertainment. There's a smart thing of writing entertaining things that I don't think they get. That's probably harder than writing your 6th grade deep, dark poetry as you sit in your room that's painted black. The darkness, my only friend. Like shit, like it comes off as like a 6th grade goth guy. And it's
all
ridiculous.
around me, mindless laughter while I weep within as the ravens of despair affected
Exactly.
my soul.
You could just like, yeah, and then they're on Facebook. They don't get me. Why don't
I'm
women?
I'm so
such a
complicated. I'm so complex.
I
I
love
to
the
see Jim
Smiths.
when he's done reading TMNT number 4 is like, well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I'm pouring my
You and your
shit.
fancy storytelling.
Exactly.
Get on out of here.
Yeah,
What are you
I don't
doing
need
to me?
that. I don't need that crap. My pinky stays down when I'm reading comics.
Exactly. So, did you read TMNT this week?
I didn't. I gave up after issue 2. It wasn't doing anything.
I thought
for
2
me.
was the best one.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't-
Michelangelo is a ninja movie star.
Star,
This is his
exactly.
brothers.
Sussly, his new name is.
Sussly of yours.
No, Sully's right. It wasn't good.
I mean, it just didn't grab me.
The best
man.
one.
It just wasn't as bad as the first one. Well, that's the thing. Is it's like that's
true.
why it's like why you Wes. It's like why you're saying like, oh, Christopher Cantwell's Plastic Man isn't bad. It's number one because you don't have any expectations on Plastic Man because he's a character who literally doesn't matter.
It's the Tom
Yeah.
I
King
love
formula.
Plastic Man.
Like, I've been reading.
He's
I
Tom
still-
King Light. It makes sense.
I still need to pick up Last Ronin 2 Revolution number 3 because I was enjoying that one because that one seems firmly rooted in the old Mirage continuity, and that's where I come from. I don't think I don't care too much for the IDW continuity. Maybe
Did
that's
you ever
where that
read
comes
the
from.
first 100 issues?
Of IDW?
Yeah.
No, but I heard about.
Oh, it's
like,
fantastic. No. One through 90. It's really, really good. It's the best merging of Mirage and the cartoon version, and even a couple of the other reboots. They kind of coalesced it all into one stream timeline with obviously. Oh my goodness! Kevin Eastman was the guy that overseeing it. It ended up being really, really good. And Tom Waltz is the one that writes it. He's the one that writes Re-Evolution. He's the one that wrote The Last Ronin.
Hey,
It's really, really fantastic.
I'll put that. I'm an old school Mirage fan, man. Jeez, I was buying.
There's a
Return
lot
to
of
New
Mirage
York.
influence in there.
So I was buying Return to New York off the shelves like way back in the day in middle school. I mean, that was.
Did you keep
I
those? They'd be worth money now.
Dude. Yeah, I know, huh? Hey, you're talking to the guy that would roll them up and put them in his back pocket. I know. Come on.
You like clip them to your bike so they would make noises when you rode it. Be like, yeah,
No,
that's one
no.
fun book.
You put them in your back pocket so you wouldn't they wouldn't you can't hold your funny book and steal your bike at the
Yeah,
same
you
time.
city folk don't know how to take care of nothing.
Hey, Wes, it's better to use those plastic solo cups like this for the
Right.
tires.
Well, yeah, we used trading cards or like poker cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, baseball cards, any of the common cards that you had like 9 of fucking
Yep.
some jabroni.
So it sounded like you
Jabroni.
were a helicopter when you rode your bike.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, back in the day.
My dad didn't buy me a bike.
You didn't get a bike, Jim? Like you're
No.
having to run after your friends on their bikes to keep up?
I kind of like grabbed one of them. I kind of stole
Yeah.
one of my
was gonna
friends'
say,
bikes.
he
Actually,
He was pushing the kids with with disorders off of their bikes.
yeah. I'm like, well, what's wrong with that kid? That bike looks good.
I remember
Easy
being a kid,
prey.
like you would ride your bike and there would be somebody on the back of your bike on the pegs,
No, yeah.
but then there might be someone on your handlebars and never thinking anything of it, even though we were going like 40 miles an hour down a
You've
hill.
already gotten more friends than I had, but I ended up having a big banana seat. The bike that I had, it was. It
That's
wasn't
called a
mine,
girl's
though.
bike, Jim.
No, that was called.
Did it
a
have
cool
pink
bike.
tassels on the sides in a basket?
I called those whips. Is what-
Very nice.
No, mine was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Wasn't mine though.
But you called it yours because you stole it fair
Yeah.
and square?
Yeah, it was my one friend's little brother. I didn't think that he was quite ready. I think I did tell him he wasn't quite ready
quite
to ride
ready
a
for
bike.
Not ready for this
So,
bike.
and it was like he would still consider it his, but it was mine. So I think he might have stole my big wheel at one point. So
Probably deserves it. So HH, when you're in New York and a young man, did you start reading comic books then? Were you just beating people up? Did you get the TMNT #1 at your local shop?
No, I didn't beat anyone up. I was defending myself. I grew up in an all-Italian neighborhood. I was the only non-Italian in the neighborhood. There were a couple of Irish kids too, but there was a lot of fighting. And comics to me was, listen, how could I learn how to speak the language better? Because that was another issue that was a roadblock. And I remember my first comic was Avengers. I think it was 274 or something like that. It was an alien invasion or something like that. And listen, I learned many lessons from comics. One was, really respect. And this is the #1 rule on the street. We want to stay away from fights. You got to respect people. There's a lot of disrespect on the street. A lot of what we see on the internet here, people disrespecting each other, opening their mouths, flapping their mouths. You try that in the Bronx, you're going to get, some loose teeth. And that's what we did. We try to respect each other the best we could. Sometimes that didn't work, but
say, listen here, Guido, you fucking touch my Avengers comic book.
You got it coming.
Get the
no.
Yeah.
Do you think you got it coming? You got it coming. You touch
my best lessons. My best lessons came from Amazing Spider-Man. That was really the first title that I really acclimated to, and I kept reading regularly. And I loved Amazing Spider-Man.
So when you slap people around, you talk crap while you're doing
it.
Something like that.
Very nice. You want to rub it in if you got the better of them, right?
Nah, not too much, man. I try to stay away from fights. It was only because I got into so many of them that I became a really good fighter. And that's what happens. Listen, if you grow up in the kitchen, guess what? You're going to, learn a few dishes and become a good cook. And that's really my story. Comics and my American story go hand in hand. That's why I really appreciate what Jim is saying here and Aaron about comics being aspirational. They really are. You really want to aspire to be these characters.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, you comics used to, like, the bad stuff that would happen would be to inspire the hero to become better. And now it's just, that's what they it's like the be all end all. It's just misery.
That was the best way to describe TMNT 4 this week, Jim. Misery.
Yeah. It's just why it just is so odd a concept.
It was bad.
And it's depressing.
It was basically like the TMNT Alpha story with Donatello being trapped. It's like that, but really, really long.
Ugh.
So,
I like Happy Turtles. They're supposed to be teenagers, and they're supposed to be, ninjas. So the whole movie thing of pizza and ball busting and hijinks. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because I know that, for a while it was more of like a roll your eyes deal or whatever, but people would be like, this is why manga's winning. This is why, but it kind of is. I mean, you read a manga and you could just start any new manga and that you're going to get, for the most part, in, shonen stuff, the idea of heroes and how they overcome things. I mean, My Hero Academia is big for a reason, because you have a kid, he ends up being able to, get his dream, and you just don't have that anymore. But it might be
when I started reading it, when I first started reading My Hero, I was like, okay, I like a lot of these characters. I hate Deku so much. He's such a he's such a whiny little bitch, and he was pissing me off. And then as I got further into it, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I've been reading shit American comics for the last 10 years, and I forgot that you start out with a character in a weak place, and then he learns and he builds and he, overcomes. I forgot that that's a part of storytelling in comics that aren't mine.
Yeah, and then you get Bakugo, who's the guy who was bullied, and then you love him. They're able to show you why these characters tick the way they do, and it's all relatable, and it just ends up. I mean, people say that, My Hero Academia, obviously they say, oh, it's like the X-Men, if you like that, but it's also like Spiderman. It's like all these characters that did aspire and things. It just ends up being just universal, and I don't think that anybody gets that. And hopefully a new round of writers eventually will be coming from manga into the deal and might change things back a bit, because and there's different styles of manga. There's horror, there's boy loves, that's it just, but the shonen stuff just is what every writer at DC and Marvel should read a little bit to remind themselves, you know, what is going on. And again, you have manga also, you have editorial that like they might crack the whip a little too much, and these mangaka, they get sick, but the idea is people are begging to try to get into the deal, and when they do, they're very appreciative of the fans. I mean, you have the guy who did My Hero Academia within like, it was already a worldwide success, and in every trade at the end he's thanking everybody, and oh my god, this, you know, they don't forget that they could be done in a second if people stop reading it. And if things do end up not doing well, or somebody comes out and has a problem, they get cut, they're done, and they may never work again. They realize that that's something, and they really are appreciative, like HH. I mean, there are people writing comics that are that way. They just don't seem to be at the big two. And
right.
Yeah,
It's all in the indies. And guys, listen, you guys know this, but for the audience too, you know, TMNT, it really started dark and gritty because it was an indie, and there were more obviously older people reading it. But then once it was clear that there was a great opportunity for a fan base, well, guess what? They started really, really positive stories, great stuff. Hey, pizza, these guys are in the street, in the sewers, all these characters. A wonderful concept. Absolutely.
It's funny, at the beginning, like you said, the Mirage stuff, you didn't get like the cowabunga doing the pizza at the first, but you did get a lot of action movie of the time that were real popular as well. So they were still entertaining. It was darker though. It was, you know, more of an action deal like that. But hey,
but you had to know that when you put Jason Aaron on the book, that it was going to go from, you know, Splinter trained them to be ninja teens to Splinter abused them and now they're depressed teens. You know, like that's what he's going to do. Like that's, you know, he's going to come in and he's going, I'm going to recontextualize everything because I'm an artist.
Oh,
you know,
more PTSD.
Like, more PTSD. Yeah, like all the turtles are all wounded and you know, just dealing with their angst, and it's just not fun. It's not fun. It's like Heroes in Crisis. It's like, what if all the characters were traumatized? Oh, that's great. That's what I want. That's what
I don't know. I don't know this fellow well, this Jason Aaron guy, but I'm going to say this. I was very disappointed. One of my favorite characters was done that way. The Punisher. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't like that at all. That didn't sit right with me.
It's what Jason Aaron does. He comes in, he breaks things on a foundational level. He puts them back together in some mismatched Frankenstein way and says, "Do you like my new art?"
Frankencastle was less Frankenstein than than Jason Aaron's Punisher.
Than Jason Aaron Punisher. He did it to Thor. He did it to Wolverine. He did it to he messed with Ghost Rider a little bit.
Wolverine's never recovered from Jason Aaron.
Nope. Yeah. And I feel he did it to Nick Fury. He did it to there's a dozen of them. It's all he does.
Yeah. Let's move on from the depression and get back to some more favorite comic stories. We were supposed to cover this last week. We weren't able to. Let's talk about our favorite Mephisto comic stories ever. HH, you are the special guest here. Do you have a personal favorite Mephisto comic book? Obviously, Mephisto being one of the big villains in the Marvel Comics universe.
Yeah, this would have been the late 80s, early 90s. This would have been the Daredevil Mephisto encounter. I think it's called Blackheart. That one was pretty intense. It was when JR got on that, and the way he drew Mephisto, holy crap, that was pretty terrifying. And as a kid, young kid reading that, I was really, I really bought that, that conflict.
Very nice. My personal favorite is Silver Surfer #1, Stan Lee writing, John Byrne illustrating. It's just a one-shot. It's not ongoing or anything, but it kind of goes back and hashes together all of Silver Surfer's like kind of backstory and where he came from and how he became the Herald of Galactus, how he got stuck on Earth because of the Fantastic Four, and then all the stuff Mephisto did to him to like keep him there and all that stuff. That thing is absolutely fantastic, and it's, you know, Stan Lee and John Byrne. You can't get any better than that.
I knew you were going to do that, Wes. I knew you were going to claim Silver Surfer #1, so I chose something else.
Well, I'm sorry. It's what came to mind. What's your choice then? Did Sparrow?
Since you already took that one, I'm going to go A Beer with the Devil, because it's just such a weird story. It's Daredevil, you know, depressed on Christmas, sitting in a bar. And if you go and you read the story of how Ann Nesenti kind of arrived at that story, it's really quite interesting. It's, you know, it's like kind of like a little bit reflective of her own life, but it's an example of taking something from your own life and not doing a self-insert, but taking a concept and applying it to the superhero world that you're dealing with. And it tells a really complex story. There's all kinds of like side characters in the bar that you kind of get invested in. And there's this woman sitting at the bar with Daredevil, and she keeps talking about how she's going to, you know, oh, her man's coming to pick her up, you know, anytime now, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just all these kind of like sad people. And Daredevil ends up making out with Mephisto. It's a weird story, you know, and then there's a stabbing, and people are like, why didn't you do something, Daredevil? You were too busy making out with that guy. And they're like, what? Because he's seeing a woman. Yeah. And he turns around, and then like all of a sudden there's this guy at the bar. And then, you know, you find out that it's Mephisto, and Mephisto's messing with.
Doc's all depressed because he's remembering that time 12 years ago.
Oh, yes.
What's your favorite Mephisto story, Doc?
I'll throw this in too.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, since oh, there you go.
What's your number one then?
Well, obviously, it's One More Day. No. There was a really good, you know what? I really enjoyed the Mephisto versus the X-Men miniseries from back in the 80s. I only actually bought it about a year and a half ago. So it's not bad. I mean, interesting. There was a bunch of like, Mephisto was doing, like, they were doing all these like 4-issue miniseries in the 80s. There was the Avengers versus Fantastic Four, or X-Men versus Fantastic Four, X-Men versus Avengers, X-Men versus Mephisto. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was, you know, it doesn't really matter that much, but there is some good interactions between, I feel like it was Rachel and Mephisto. But
well, he's sticking his tongue down her throat in the 3rd issue cover.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Mephisto likes to make out with the characters in the Marvel universe. We're lucky that we didn't get that in One More Day.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Peter's like, "Screw you, Mary Jane.
I
found a real woman.
Mephisto.
I got some sympathy for the devil, baby."
All right, Jim, you're coming up. We still haven't done Sully, so you're second to last. What's your favorite Mephisto?
I don't have one. I don't have one. I'm not even going to fake the funk. I haven't read many Mephisto stories, so I'm bailing on this one.
So you're definitely going One More Day.
One more day.
It's
one of the only, or some
story.
of the newer things where I swear to God, he's like in Vegas and he leaves Vegas and he's back in Vegas. But yeah, I really don't have one personally. So
yeah,
all right, Sully.
My favorite Mephisto story is the Ghost Rider movie with Nick Cage. Man, that was a good portrayal of everybody involved.
Sully, what's your favorite Mephisto story?
I'm going to have to rip off Aaron Sparrow and go with Daredevil 266 by Ann Nesenti, art by J.R. Jr. and Al Williamson. I was buying it back in high school. And this is the same art team and creative team that would eventually lead to Typhoid Mary. And I just loved the hell out of that Typhoid Mary arc. But that one issue, it's Christmas time. And we were even talking last week about, hey, what's your favorite Christmas, like, comic book story? I should have said this as well, because it is, and it's Christmas time. He's alone. He's sitting at the bar in costume, but like bandaged up, you know, but then like the devil's influence on all those around him sours all these lonely, angry people's holiday. They were already lonely and angry to begin with, and it just having the devil in the same room brings it out in them, and it's just and it turns into bedlam in the bar. And just the way that J.R. Jr. drew Mephisto, he didn't have that classic, you know, his face. He was just more of that abstract, second face of his. And that's my favorite Mephisto. I don't have that many Mephisto comics. There's like Paradise X by like Alex Ross, Braithwaite, and Kruger, where Mephisto is like, he's pretending to be the new Daredevil. And I always thought he was infiltrating Castle Doom and stuff. But I always thought that was a good one. But yeah, nothing beats Ann Nesenti's Daredevil using Mephisto, or, you know, the Catholic and Satan at a bar sharing a drink.
I was just going to bring that up. People don't realize, some of them, that Mephisto is really the devil incarnate in the Marvel universe. And here he goes, he's going up against Daredevil. I mean, of any character in the Marvel universe, where you want to talk about Christianity, that's always going to be a powerful encounter. And what a great job that Nascenti did on that one. Absolutely.
There was actually, no, it's not really a Mephisto story, but he plays a role in it. And the Ed Brubaker Books of Doom miniseries with Mephisto, he played a role in, because most of it's Doom trying to get his mother back from hell. And so it was a good, I mean, it's still a Doom story. It's not a Mephisto story. I think he only appears in maybe a couple of panels in like 2 of the issues, but it was good.
Very, very nice. I guess it's time to get to our comic book recommendations for the week. Hopefully Aaron is able to come back and recommend something, but he appears to have had technical difficulties. It looked like he froze up there for quite some time.
Get back, Loretta.
What are you doing? Play with your paper bag, man. You're making all kinds of noise. HH, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. This is your last chance to sell the peoples on Here Comes Calico, live right now on Kickstarter. And there's lots of Calico material out there, a couple of volumes of manga. Obviously, you got the traditional comic book size stuff out there as well. And Mr. Mike Barron joining you this time.
Guys, thank you so much for having me and Sigma Comics. I want to shout out everybody in the audience, my aficionados here, and everybody at Sigma Comics and the Sigma Comics team. Thank you so much. Listen, go on Kickstarter right now. Everybody in the audience, get out to Kickstarter and type in Here Comes Calico. You're going to see the Here Comes Calico prologue for book 2. You are going to love it. Give us a shot. Every penny goes to fighting animal abuse. That's what we're all about. Justice for all. We fight animal abuse through comics. We're an original. You see Ma German there in the back. But that's what we're all about. We really appreciate you guys. Get Here Comes Calico. I really think you're going to love it. Like I said, if you like the Punisher, Batman, or Daredevil, any street level character, you're really going to love Here Comes Calico. Give us a shot. And when you're done with that, go on Kneel Before Doomface. That's where you need to be on Kickstarter.
Absolutely. You got any other comic books you want to recommend or anything else that you need to plug before we move on to somebody else's final goodbyes?
Just the channel. Our Here Comes Calico on YouTube. We really appreciate you. We're a small channel. We just started up again. We had the previous one. We had some problems with it, so we had to start it up again. Everybody who's an aficionado should be a member of the Here Comes Calico YouTube. Absolutely. And thank you so much for Wes. Really appreciate you having me on here.
Well, appreciate you coming. And there is a link not only to the Kickstarter, but also the YouTube channel in the video description. Make sure to get those in there. And I really do appreciate HH. Sounds like Aaron has lost his internet. Probably not going to be coming back, but
bummer.
That sucks. He would have recommended TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures 19 this week. So there's your Aaron Sparrow recommendation. Sully, did you get a bag of books? I've heard you playing around with it.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you over my bag of bunnies. Hello, everybody. Yes, I go to the local comic book shop every week and get new comic books. What did I get? Not much this week. I only got 3, and one of them was from last week. Finally, my my issue of Flash Gordon 4 came in with my pull list. Jeremy Adams. This is
good.
Really fun, and Will Conrad does some amazing art on this. This is all around one of the comics you're probably sleeping on. It's from Mad Cave, and it's pretty darn good. Superman 20 by Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora. Great art. Interesting. I'm a huge Superman fan for all my life. And one of the things I like is the fluidity of the identity of Time Trapper. Time Trapper can be anybody. And so in this iteration, Time Trapper ends up being an evolved version of Doomsday, who's like super smart, and of course he's come for Superman, his age-old nemesis. And I got Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #1 of 4. This is going to be a weekly. It's a sequel to last year's really big smash hit of a team up between the Justice League and Santa Claus, Steven Christmas. And one thing I like about this too is that DC is embracing Christmas. It's not about holiday season, and it's not about this like, you know, just secular stuff. No, they're going Christmas. You know what I mean? Just good old fashioned Santa Claus Christmas time, and I think that's a step in the right direction. And let's not deny Christmas. Let's embrace it. But yeah, I would say it was a slow week, and yeah, Uncanny X-Men #5 was terrible, and Amazing Spider-Man, which I usually go to bat for, had great art by Ed McGuinness. It just completely met. And let's not talk about that Star Wars Jakku book, please. No.
You read that too?
Oh gosh, I read every Star Wars book. I'm rooting for Star Wars. I want there to be good Star Wars stories. Just why aren't there?
Nah. You missed the 2 Darth Vader runs. You should go back and read those. They were good.
Indeed,
well, there we go.
You. Thank you very much for having me on the show, man.
Love it. Glad that the move is going well.
Thank you.
And next up, Jim.
Yeah.
Alive,
Superman.
kicking, and doing well.
Yes.
And what are you recommending? Superman?
Superman. That's it for me this week, for what I read.
What? I thought you loved Green Arrow.
Oh, actually, yeah, I'll put Green Arrow there. That is, I like it because we made it fun, but it is a new direction that could be really goofy. And I don't know that most people will get that same feel, but yeah, we did enjoy talking about it on your.
I have a
Patreon
feeling
show.
that Drew is going to be very against me recommending Green Arrow today.
Yeah, again, you have to go with it as hopefully what Chris Condon's doing is trying to make Oliver look like a pompous ass who thinks that he could do whatever he wants because he's Green Arrow, but nobody really cares about it. It is pretty funny. But yeah, I'll go with that. But Superman, I think, was the best book this week of, the things that I've read so far. I still haven't read a couple of issues of some different things, but that's what I'd recommend fully.
Very nice. You got any videos or songs people need to be aware of?
No, I'll be putting out some more reviews this weekend and a couple more different videos. And I usually try to get a song a day is what I usually do if you want to hear crazy, dirty songs.
Like My Meat in Your Chocolate Fountain. That's coming up next.
Yeah, that is next. That is next.
It's autobiographical. Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. Last but not least, Doc, are you recommending any books?
100% least. I am going to recommend that you go and check out our review of Detective 1091, which will be up Tuesday?
Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am never right on when shit is going live on this channel. I swear to God. I've been doing this for like 2 fucking years and I still don't know when shit goes on. I just know what time I have to be awake to come here and record stuff. But yes, so I recommend that you go check that out. I definitely recommend you go check out Here Comes Calico by the wonderful friend of the channel, HH.
Thank you,
and
brother.
the folks over at Calico, the team. And go check that out. The link should be in the description. And then I am going to recommend, let's see. Somebody brought up Rob earlier. And this is a book that confuses me. Okay. And the reason why is this is an obscure variant of X-Force Volume 2, number 1. Rob came back and did, a little mini series. But this black and white variant, I cannot find who the fuck published this. It doesn't look like it was from Marvel. So it might be a bootleg. I'm not certain. There's apparently one for issues 2 and 3 as well, but maybe not 4, 5, and 6. I can't figure it out. So if anybody can find me information on this freaking book, because if you look, like the UPC is like fuzzy. It's out of focus. It's so weird. But I mean, cool. Then we will go with another weird variant. This is Uncanny X-Men 258, but it is one of the Marvel Legends reprints. So it actually has the cover for like 461 or some shit on it, because it's 258, and this is a Chris Bacalo cover. So it's cool. It's one of those books. I just love it. It's one of those weird books. Then we will go with Uncanny X-Men Annual number 14, the actual real first appearance of Gambit, because this comes out 1 week before Uncanny X-Men 266, which is considered the first appearance of Gambit, but he's just kind of like chilling in one of the panels because like Teen Thief Storm brought him along back to the X-Men when she comes back. So this happens after the events of like 266 and I think 267, but it actually was released before. So technically it's the first appearance. But they don't consider it the first appearance. And then finally, since we're on the subject of first appearances, technically the first appearance of Doomface. On the cover, this is Unholy Nightmare number 1, the Doomface variant. Mine is all, graffitied up with, Dolan and Aaron and a few other signatures on there that I, sadly, guys, I don't know who your signatures actually look like. The only one I can tell is Dolan and Aaron. But so I recommend that you go and back Kneel Before Doomface, because we're approaching the end and Aaron's not here to pimp his own shit. So I will absolutely pimp Aaron. Yes, I said that way intentionally. So yeah, bitches. But yeah, go check out Kneel Before Doomface and see if I think you might be able to find copies of this still maybe on Kneel Before Doomface's website. And the links for all that stuff should probably be in the description too. Otherwise, I'm putting Wes on the spot and making him feel bad. So those are my recommendations for this week.
Exit solo layout. There we go. Finally happened. Oh, I was on Jim.
Yep.
I put it on the wrong one. My bad. I don't think there is a link to the kneelbeforedoomface.com in the description. There's a link to the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So I do apologize. But if you look for kneelbeforedoomface.com, you'll be able to find it. And I believe there still are some prints as well, copies of that is out there. I want to say thank you very much to everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. You didn't get trampled during Black Friday. You're revving up for Cyber Monday. And obviously, we've got a big weekend of football. All the college football regular season stuff is over. And obviously, we're heading toward the playoffs as the Chiefs are the first team to qualify for the playoffs, which was absolutely amazing. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.
Get out.